Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all here. My name is Laura Shepard, and I chair the Select Board. And I'm about to call our joint meeting together with the Finance Committee. And it is 6:06 p.m. And if I could have a roll call for Select Board.
Veronica, Count President.
And Laura Shepard, President. Would you all join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank all of our veterans and also all of our military that's serving right now and our emergency response families. And I include the families because they all sacrifice for us. This meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. Is there anyone else recording? Let the record show that Cindy King is recording. I do not have any other additions or deletions except.
Could we just thank Troop 10 for joining us today?
I didn't know what troop number they were.
It is 10.
Yes. And hopefully this meeting goes smoothly so you can learn a lot of things while you're here. The joint meeting between the Select Board and the Finance is for the budget for the town.
Well, there might be one thing. I think the Board of Health would like to be one of the first budgets to be discussed tonight, so if that is at all possible.
Yes, that can be changed. I was allowing John to do that actually. Okay. And also, I don't know if you were you guys, the agenda or not, it's not going to come, so John was also going to mention that.
Oh, okay.
The only other thing I wanted to mention was that I received an email from a resident who was listening to our meetings and found it difficult to actually hear everything because we had a lot of papers moving around and sometimes we talk over each other. So I just thought I would mention it so that we could be cognizant of the fact that we should not be talking over one another. So if one person can talk at a time, that would be great for the audience as well. Come on in. There's
a seat.
Okay, and I think that was all for my announcements. Don?
Okay, this is the Townsend Finance Committee and calling the meeting to order at 6:09 p.m. Roll call attendance, even though we're all here, appreciate it.
Carolyn Bazikas. Carol Hofstas.
David Walker. Sam Grant.
Mary Jane Churchville.
And Don Hayes. At 6, we have a quorum, so we are good to continue. This meeting is also being recorded. And we'll continue with that. Item 4 on the agenda. I haven't started sharing yet. I will get there when I get logged into the Zoom session. As far as additions or deletions, we have an addition that was added to the agenda where Board of Health will be in, and we're planning to slide. And then the item for TMR and Fire EMS will not be reviewed tonight. They had a last minute commitment, and we'll see them Saturday morning instead. And then the rest will continue. We have capital planning report and Finance Committee and the Select Board to review. Those would be the only changes at this point. Nothing else. We can move into the work session. The first item on the work session is now Board of Health. So, Christian, sorry. It's kind of like it started.
Really?
Where is it?
Oh,
I see
where?
Carla on Zoom.
I thought it was.
I'm here.
Hi, Carla.
Hi, good evening, folks.
Is Christian on
He should be. He should be.
I see someone with the initial LS. I see Carla's iPhone and I see, your other account, Carla. So you-
Yes, the microphone is really low on my laptop, so I've actually muted my laptop and I called in so I could actually hear better. So that's what
Then I don't see Christian on Zoom and he's not here in
I don't
person.
either. That concerns me. So if it pleases the board to continue to the next, I will release my phone to try and contact him. I think it's very important that he's here and I know he wants to be.
Okay, then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, next item would be the capital planning, and I believe that we're gonna get a report. Where it's only a report, there are three members of the capital planning board here, which would constitute a quorum, but they're not gonna have any votes, they're just doing the report. So I think we're covered, but I would, if anybody thinks there's an issue and one member may need to.
I think so.
Okay, then if I could have a volunteer to, so wait out in the hallway where we have the capital planning discussion. Because there's three, Carol.
Oh, I'll go.
You're a quorum.
You, Jerry, and Veronica would make a quorum,
Oh,
because there would be three.
oh, okay.
So we can say,
Oh,
So-
we can
no, you
say,
can go.
One,
oh. go-
No,
Okay, I'm confused.
one needs to go. Two is okay, because it's not a quorum. Three
So,
members would be a
if
quorum.
you want me to leave? I can,
All right, let's make a
For-
decision,
for-
okay?
yeah.
no, just tell me.
It's five on capital planning.
5, so you can only have 2 people here from.
Okay.
I'll go outside with you.
Oh, are you on capital planning also?
No, but I'm gonna go
Oh,
keep her
Okay,
company.
that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
You can fill it. Thank you. We're just trying to follow the open meeting laws.
This
to make
really
sure.
is what goes on. Okay. You cannot have a quorum without posting.
Okay, then I believe Veronica, you're gonna provide,
Is anybody able to screen share?
let me see.
Nelson, can you get into the SharePoint and pull up the file that I put there
Sure. Yeah, because I
in
don't have the file.
SharePoint?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, hard copy.
so the one that I want is the 5-year capital project.
Harley, or is it Tom that's downstairs? Could you give me, sharing privileges?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Great, thank you. This Excel spreadsheet.
It is an Excel spreadsheet. It says 5-year capital projects.
Is that the printout that we got?
I don't know if you
Yeah, it
got a
should be.
printout or not.
That's what it is.
Did I get that too? Let's see here.
Christian is online, so do you wanna pivot back or?
I'd probably like to continue where we have a member out of the.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
Yeah. I
I
don't-
want to share the first. I'm going to be asking to switch screens. So you want the 5-year plan first. So click on 5-year plan, that should work. Yeah, there
A
it
little
is.
bit of a delay.
So capital met last night. And we looked at the projects that were requested, and if you look at that, the first column is fiscal year 2026. The capital plan committee recommendation is the Y and N right next to it. And we are governed by the amount of funds the town has to spend for capital. So our decisions were to, for highway, to fund the fourth year of a 5-year lease for the loader, which we have to do. So that's the 31,100. The next thing that we were going to fund was the $295,000 new dump truck with plow and sander. Scrolling down to facilities, the Memorial Hall fire suppression system and the trim and painting on Memorial Hall. We opted not to fund, so I moved to the far right column the funds for the exterior storm windows, the heating system, and farther down, scroll it up a little bit so we can see those ends down at the bottom. The replacing the roof on Memorial Hall, repointing the chimney and the foundation, and also replacing the main roof of the library. We just don't have the funds for that this year. Right.
So we did not vote on those at all. Moving down further to fire and police. The fire department requested protective bunker gear, that's turnout gear, at $135,000, and we voted to fund that. In the water department, the water plan, master plan update, and the cybersecurity assessment for $12,000. And rolling down further, I think we'll get to lease. The police, it's the lease payment on 4 cruisers. It does say 4 cruisers.
4.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so we're good. And so those are the, I didn't put a Y there. That's what's missing, a Y on that line.
Okay.
So we could, so if you look at the total there at the bottom, recap by department, it all comes to a total of $700,620. So where does the funding come from? Do you want to go to the funding page? I don't know if it's better to talk there or otherwise. So the protective bunker gear, we're thinking capital stabilization. That has about 87,000 in it right now. So it would have to be either supplemented by redirecting special articles, that warrant articles that have not yet been expended, or free cash. The cat loader would come from free cash, 31,100. The 2 police cruisers we put under raise and appropriate. That is in the budget that the police department has. Master plan update and the cybersecurity assessment total 72,000. And if you either shrink down all our faces, there are further columns. If you can, hit that. The water enterprise fund is where the water department stuff would come out of. That's the 72,000. The 65K, can you move that to the left, for the facilities would come from, am I missing it? Would come from capital stabilization or redirecting special articles. So there is work that needs to be done with the Board of Selectmen to decide what the best place is to fund from, but we do have that. The articles identified and things like that, just deciding if this is the best way to fund. But that's our recommendation. And so all total, $700,620 with the $295. Did I skip over that? For the dump truck with the plow and sander, that would be borrowed. So.
When you say a dump 6-wheeler, you're talking about 6 tires, right?
Yes, I believe so. In
In other words, a
highway
regular
expert,
dually.
but yeah,
in English.
it's the big one.
Well, the big one would be, tandem would be 6 sets of tires.
So, okay,
That's what I'm trying to find out, whether it's
It's-
6 sets of tires or 6 tires.
No, it's six
six
sets.
six sets?
I think so.
It's the
Dually.
big
Two and two,
ones.
yeah.
That's a dually. 2 wheels on 1 axle
Mhm.
is a dually.
Okay.
A tandem is also 6, but it's a pair of on each of the 2 axles in the back of the truck that covers the kind of weight we may be hauling or
Well,
not
that's
hauling.
that's what makes me think I think it's, well,
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I think it's 2 and
A
2.
10-ton truck or basically, or they're actually heavier than that, but,
I
a
don't
dually,
know their
in
tonnage.
other words, a
but
single
they're-
axle with 2 sets of wheels on the back, or a tandem, which is 2 axles with 4 sets of tires.
You know,
We didn't
We
quiz
didn't
him
quiz
on
him.
that.
he just
We-
told us what he needed.
Right,
And we do have a way of funding that, because a truck like that is supposed to last between 15 to 20 years. So we can take funding for 5, 10, 15, spread it out,
Yeah.
make it more viable.
affordable for the town.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, but you have to keep in mind that when you take it out, there's gonna be another truck somewhere down the road that's gonna have to replace something else.
well, of course, there's always something.
Well, last year, I believe that there were 2 Sanders, the smaller ones,
Smaller
the
ones,
smaller
yeah.
trucks that they
Mhm.
have that were purchased.
Right.
And so this is the first of the big Sanders.
Yeah.
There are 2 other requests
Mhm.
that are go back to the first page.
28, I think, isn't it
Yeah,
28?
go, um,
Well, there's one for 27 and one for 28.
Correct, and I don't know that we're gonna be able to afford that, so it might be that we do every other year.
Yeah.
If we can, or depending on
That's right.
how
Mhm.
So
other things.
how you buy out into the future has a lot to do with what's coming in
Correct,
2 to 5 years down the road.
yeah, so we met with the treasurer last night and she went over numbers with us.
She seemed to think that was the way to go.
Yeah, for that
Oh,
one.
no.
It's better than having a lease with the vendor. Because then that can't be borrowed and would have to come out through cash every year, similar to that 31,100.
Right.
And so, we felt, the committee felt it was better to borrow for that one.
So we go down to the cruisers for the police department for a second.
Sure. Can you scroll back to that? Yeah.
Where was it?
Very bottom line. where it says
It's been 4 cruises for quite a
4
while.
cruisers.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I saw 2 cruisers up there somewhere.
Well, before she left the room, Geraldine had mentioned that it said 2 cruisers somewhere. Maybe
Oh,
it's on,
in the funding
in the
sources.
funding page, so
Oh,
I
okay.
missed that, when I edited, but anyway. Yeah, it's 4 cruisers. And that's already been discussed in the police department budget.
How long
Like
is the
last week?
leases for? That's $25,000 a year, according to the number you got. Yeah, for 4 cruisers.
He usually does it for
I think it's
5 years?
4 or 5.
I think
4 or
it's
5 years. I think
I think
been-
it's 4.
I think it's 4 because of the mileage. You
Yeah.
get a lot of miles.
And it's just a rolling thing that
Right.
happens so that.
It actually comes out of his budget.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we do it out of the operating budget.
Right.
And so when the article was presented for these, all the different funding sources will be mentioned.
Right.
Much like the water enterprise fund will pay for the water ones. We're doing this out of the operating budget.
Right.
But where it is capital, there's a reporting element to this when we report to the state. That it's capital versus just different from where the funding source is coming from.
So any other questions? I did put in the SharePoint the reports that the accountant provided to us for the articles that are not fully expended. And so that's something that the Board of Selectmen can look at, and we can look at on Saturday.
Is Rob coming in on Saturday? Because I have some questions about his, Rob, the
I
facilities.
have no idea.
He's not slated to come in. And so if you have any questions, we can ask him offline.
All right.
Any other questions on the capital plan?
No, looks good.
I should mention that there's a possibility of applying for a grant that does have a 50% match. It's a 50/50. It's not a full, to do some of the Memorial Hall work that was requested. So we decided to hold off on those because of that reason. Plus funding, I think there's 87,000 in capital stabilization right now. There's some free cash that we're gonna need to take, and there are articles that can be forgiven. So, and they will need to go on the annual town meeting warrant to repurpose them.
Right. Yeah. And I think that is one closing shortly, or is it
March 1st.
March 1st, so that's.
Saturday. So we just need a placeholder for warrant article
Yeah.
repurpose.
Okay, I didn't know if it would make it into the special. Meeting inside that, because we usually go out into that first, so we would then know whether the money was available. The council was in.
Well, if that's the case, the special town meeting warrant is later.
Mhm.
So
Okay. Yeah,
we're planning
so
on-
I just wanna make sure we do.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you guys have a special town meeting within the annual town
We
meeting.
start the annual town meeting and then we break out into a special.
Yep.
And so if we do those actions in the special, then we know.
We have the cash.
We have the cash, but we don't be taking it out.
So we do have time to even post that. Okay. We haven't even opened that. Yeah.
That's why we have meetings. Talk about.
If there aren't any other questions, that's the report.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Dave, this is your first. Capital planning. Report. You all set?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. We still have time. I mean, you know, the budget's not done.
Get to
If
Saturday.
additional questions come up, we can get answers. Just that we've got everybody in there. I'm just gonna run out and get the numbers and.
Did you put that Y in there?
I did,
Thank you.
but,
I just saw that it was there and I had so many I needed to do that. So if you've already done it, it's good to go.
you'll probably need to do it on your version.
Look at that. I'm back on the island.
Okay, sorry, we're back on the agenda, and we'll go back to Board of Health.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman of the Finance Committee. Good evening, Ms. Chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Ms. Vice Chairman, and everybody who is present. I'm here representing the Board of Health regarding the trash contract. Earlier during the day, Carla has sent over an email with a few documents, which included a letter from Irene. Let me see if I can get her name correctly. Irene Congdon, our municipal assistance coordinator from Mass Deep and the chairman of the recycling committee. We sent over the two proposals that we have for the trash contract, separated from the municipal trash. So we were in contact with Shaw's today asking about the number of the tonnage that he is projecting that we're able to how do you put it this way, that he's projecting to collect based on the tonnage, and he gave us the number of 1,600 tonnage, and based on the contract that the Board of Health had approved and had presented to the town council, The Board of Health continues on the firm position on endorsing the contract with the pays as you throw, not the all inclusive, but since we have the numbers for the 478,980 based on the tonnage, and it is from our assessment that most likely with the pay as you throw, the tonnage is going to go down. And as of right now, with the purple bags revenue, we have for revenue up to now $212,750 as of right now. And I think that if we continue going that route, I think there's a possibility that the trash contract can be financed by the purple bags if we continue on that expectation. It is the firm recommendation of the Board of Health to approve our recommended proposal of this contract. And that will give us a possibility of even applying for grants too that could supplement, and correct me if I'm wrong, Carla, regarding to get more revenue to cover the trash contract, right, Carla? Carla.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
hello, board. So if we can get the tonnage down to less to 1,000 tons, your grant money would be substantial. And the numbers that the Board of Health is looking at and Irene was looking at was approximately 1,200 right now, and it will go down for another year and then it will cap out. So the tonnage at 1,600 tons and an all-inclusive contract would mean that you would be paying for 1,600 tons when our records show, along with Irene, that it's going to be at least at the most 1,200 and possibly less than 1,000. So it doesn't make sense to pay for something that you're not going to be collecting. And correct me if I'm wrong, Christian, it was also the board's recommendation that the Board of Selectmen include the number in their budget process for the all-inclusive. And then you have the number there, and then as the tonnage goes down, you won't be expending that money by the end of the year.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yep.
So how is the difference between the 490K or whatever it is, 480K for collection and the tonnage paid for? Where do those dollars come from? The money anticipated to be collected for purple bags, pay as you throw, will only cover the collection. Given the situation that we're in, that the general fund doesn't cover the 1,600 or 1,000 or 1,200, how is the tonnage paid for? How do you anticipate funding that? You mentioned grants, but are those grants guaranteed, and what are the amounts of the grants? So how is the tonnage paid for?
And how quickly do we get them?
So regarding the, okay,
Go ahead, Christian.
no, go ahead.
Okay, so the purple bags are not intended to pay for all of the contract. You're gonna have to come up with some money. It's just not gonna supplement. But why would you pay for something that the tonnage is going down? For instance, right now, we're setting a contract for 2,000 tons and it's $68,500 a month. And right now our tonnage is down to an average of 130. So you're paying all that for something that you shouldn't be paying.
But the thing is, you know what that amount is. It is not open-ended. And unless you have data from, I would say, the 5 previous years before pay as you throw, I wouldn't be comfortable doing this unless we have a funding source for it. In other words, if fees are going to be increased at the recycling center, so that every time you dispose of something, you are charged a $5 fee for tonnage, that would support this. There needs to be some way to pay for the delta between collection and the tonnage.
Well,
How
the
do we take
recycling,
money?
I'm sorry.
Some sort of fee that people who use trash disposal in Townsend contribute to help with this. Because with the school situation, the increases that all staff gets by contract, and I mean, if you follow what we've been doing with budget, you can see that we are scraping. And so I prefer to know what it's going to cost and say, how are we going to pay for that? But we could, I mean, who knows? Maybe the tonnage will go down to 500 tons. And if that's the case, sure, if you do it and you have the money to pay for it, you can do that. But right now, with what's projected to come in and pay as you throw, it will cover the collection, but it will not cover the disposal. And that's where I have the issue with it. And so is it better to know or to have something open-ended? And I'm comfortable with open-ended if we have a way to collect those fees that is fair for everybody in town.
If I may?
Go ahead, Carla.
Thank you. So I can't give you the numbers, Veronica, for the last 5 years because we had been, well, maybe for the last 5 years because we've decreased the tonnage. When the town had the contract in 2008, you actually had 6 bags of trash that you were allowed out at the curb, and we decreased it every year to 5, 4, 3, and then it was 264. So I could give you tonnage for the last probably 3 years for that, but I don't really think that it's going to give you the numbers that you want.
So how do you propose paying for the tonnage? I guess is my question.
Lori, would you like to address that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
How are we going to pay for the tonnage if you don't make enough in the bags? Or if you
Free
really
cash
can't-
was discussed.
Oh, well,
Free cash is not always there and available. It's kind of like but
We paid.
I started to look at the numbers. I got them late this afternoon, so I put some things together. I went the other way. I took how much is the average pound of a bag to create how many bags would go to a ton. Pay your tonnage from your bag fee and work backwards to how much you need to get to pay
For the collection?
Right. As an example, I mean, that's a backwards.
You can go that way, but you still need money.
We still need the money, but, and I also did the comparison. I'm gonna flip over to the spreadsheet I put together. Right now, we had January listed on the letter from Irene, and it showed 134 for January, which is 44 tons less than last January. So I used that number and just said it's going to be 44 tons less.
That's per month.
Per month.
But do you also have the number of people that participate in the program versus the number of people in the town?
and that's the piece, when people come back on, which is gonna increase the. There are
Also
a
increase
lot-
the bags,
Right,
but
exactly, so,
you
those
can't
are the
predict
pieces. Yep, it's kinda,
I have a question. All of this is based on facts, not on facts, it's all based on projections. Veronica has a really excellent point. How are we gonna pay for the tonnage?
Mhm.
Have we talked about the possibility of telling the townspeople that the trash thing is not working and let's just forget about it and everybody get their own trash? Open up the town to other competitive trash people besides Shaw. And let's just be honest with the townspeople, it's all a mess. And this is gonna be an alternative, because otherwise you're just talking about numbers you have no idea of, tonnage you have no idea of. And what's it gonna be? You want fees on top of fees, on top of fees that are gonna grow and grow. Let's just tell the people the truth and let them get their own trash and end this part of the budget.
that is one way to go. But the difference is that it is less expensive for people to do the pay as you throw, as long as we have a way to cover the tonnage for the town. It's less expensive per person. It will cost each person $40 to $50 to pick up for a pickup, more than likely. That's what Shaw's is charging now.
Right,
So
but if we have
the
competitors,
reason,
if this is a competitive market, it could go down to 35, say.
does anybody have any idea what
Not right
others
now.
charge?
They'll stay right pretty much off whatever near.
So is
They
that
might
number
go
a
down
person or a
$5.
household?
It's a
Yeah.
household.
The audience has a comment.
Okay.
The showman lives in Winchendon, he pays $44 a month to get his trash picked up.
Right, I was gonna say, it all depends on the size of your toter that you get and the amount, whether it's a quantity, whether it's one or two. Generally, I did the quotes, I went out to 3 or 4 different sites, they're, depending on the vendor, they're between $40 to $55 for what I would say is a 64 gallon tote.
How many bags do we get in a roll?
But
Well, it depends on
if
what
you
you're
get-
buying.
What
Yeah.
size bag?
The purple thing, I don't,
well,
They come in two different
they
sizes, they
come in
come
two
large and
sizes now,
small.
so you have the
But
small
the-
size, which is 10, and the large size, which is 5.
$17.50 for the 5 large ones,
for the 5 large ones. that's
Correct.
what we get.
right?
Okay.
And
That's $17.50
$22.50,
a month it costs me to get rid of my trash,
How much?
or
well,
less,
because you, more or less.
or less.
Right, based on the number of bags you
Bags, I mean, if I buy a 5 bag thing, we send the trash 1 bag out every other week. It is very compacted, it really holds everything we get, because most of our stuff goes to recycling where it belongs in the first place.
We can get 3 kitchen bags into 1 purple bag.
I do go by horse bag.
That's what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
It doesn't compute to me because I do a horse bag at a time.
Well, I don't have any
We all have our
horses.
different measures.
Yeah, I know. It's a 50-pound bag, and that's, even that carries inside for not much.
Right.
You know, 50-pound bag of this is different than
This
50-pound
year-
bag of that.
I just wanna say that I know everybody that knows me that I've been against trash fees and this and that and the next thing, and I'm probably gonna shock people to say that I'm actually in favor of going out of, getting the town out of the trash business. After all the chaos that I've been listening to for the last year over trying to figure out who's on first, who believes what, how this budget is, whether we can do trash fees, whether we can't do trash fees, purple bags, no purple bags, and the townspeople are fed up, and I am, and I'm just watching this budget nightmare that you all are having, and in a way, I feel, as much as I get mad at you guys, I still feel bad about what you're going through, because this isn't getting anywhere, and we're no farther along than we were a year ago. And it's the same issues coming up on crunch time at town meeting in this budget. And then you've got an override plan for the 10th of March, and that includes issues on the trash. So where you guys are, I know you're gonna get to the sentence any minute now, that in order to pay that difference, that you're upset, you're trying to figure out the difference between purple bags and the actual cost, is you're gonna talk override. That sentence is coming up any minute now. And rather, when
We
you're talking
already
about
have
the
that.
townspeople don't wanna pay $40 or $50 a head, and I'll tell you, I'm a 5 to 6 weeks on one purple bag person.
Oh.
So it's $3.50 for 6 weeks for me, but I'd rather pay $50 a month than an override and listen to all of you go crazy every week and spending hours of your volunteer time on this issue. Just get rid of it. And I think overall, each of us as a town will be understanding as it's been, but understanding to avoid the trash money going to an override question. It's gonna cost less to just go with our own contracting. It's a change, it's gonna be difficult, but as individual homeowners who would be dealing with this, overall, I think it is actually cheaper to just pay my $50 a month and I don't have to worry about what you guys are gonna do next.
You can do that now without a problem. I mean, you can contract your own now.
Exactly.
And the override, the tonnage was paid for in this current fiscal year through ARPA funds. That's how we paid for that difference, and we
Wow.
don't have that next year.
I was gonna say a piece of it. There were other things that actions were taken in August that ended up paying for the additional for trash.
Yeah, the
At that time.
stabilization.
The stabilization, the extra 100,000 from the ambulance, the closing out of some articles. We go back through that August 20th,
Mhm.
we can list all of the monies that we used
Right.
to cover the gap that we had once the school budget passed.
But why go through all those gyrations and all that aggravation? And no, you don't have the money, you do have the money, you rob Peter, you pay Paul. Why don't you just get rid of it and let the people deal with it and let's
Sorry.
move on to other
Because
things?
there are people who can't afford to pay the 40 to 50 a month. And what will they do? You can control it better if you purchase the purple bags and have it, you can work it into your budget more easily than paying 40 or 50.
So you're
a month.
saying that there's a social service element to this
Yeah, there
dilemma?
is. And it means the
Working
trash is
together.
available to everybody.
It's a problem for everybody, but it's it's a difficulty that needs to be worked together. Everybody gets their own trash, everybody's got, stuff left out, who's responsible for that piece of trash left lying around when the trash truck dumps it? What did you say, there were 3 people serving 3 companies?
There were 3, I was.
And all I know is Harvey and somebody else.
Harvey, Republic, I think Republic is in Pepper right now, but they were willing to come over the border. Especially if we're gonna do that.
But even if you were to double or go to $25 for a pack of $5 a bag, it would be a heck of a sight cheaper for everybody individually, let alone the extra hassle. If you use 1 bag a week, that's 5 weeks. If you use the average of 1 1/4 bag a week, then you're up to $25 versus $40 to $50. And you don't have to call. The town has already worked out the problems with the deal. There's just one more person I've got to call to get a contract with. I'm not paying the newspaper right now because I don't have time to sit down and write a lousy check.
Well, then let's go back to Veronica's question of where we're gonna get the money to pay the tonnage. If it's not in the purple bags, then you're gonna put a user fee on it? I mean, that's been talked about.
The fees aren't really gonna work.
Not
I know, but they brought
across
it
the
up at
board,
this meeting.
but
Yeah.
we could increase fees at the recycling center and use that increase to pay for the, for tonnage.
Is that going to drive mattresses out to the street?
We talked about it. I messed around with price per bag at $3.55 and $7.50. And then down here, the corresponding. And again, my numbers were 1,542, just estimate of the tonnage, so that gets you to the 1,600. So the best, if you're going to $7.50 a bag, and it's 30 pounds a bag you're getting per ton, you're gonna have an extra 609,000. So again, these are estimates. I don't know how much my bag weighs when I put it to the corner. It was just about how much I felt. I carried it out to the corner. Some people may load it up. It's a start. It's the money and compares prices without doing additional fees, just doing bag fees, and you're paying for what you put out there.
There is a
We could do
tipping,
that.
there's a tipping point in terms of the price of the bags.
Right.
You know, we're kind of middle of the road. I know there are some communities nearby that are more than that, but not much more.
Mhm.
Because once you start getting like above $4.50,
Right.
The demand drops off
And
quite a bit.
yeah, and again, this that I've done, I've taken the tipping fee out of this estimate and said the excess per ton per bag is this amount, and it's all, not the total. If we want to do different, again, I hadn't seen anything else presented, so I put something on a piece of paper.
Because
We can certainly do totals of it, and see how it adds up.
so Pepperell, for example, they have purple bags too, I believe.
They do.
Theirs are $17 for a pack of 5, so that translates to $3.40 a bag.
Yeah.
But then you have the other way in Ashby, they charge $7 a bag.
Mhm.
7 is kind of steep, and I think at that point, more and more people are going to go private because it just makes sense for them.
It does when you start doing the multiple bags. And that's the piece. It's economical for me. We're approaching week 21. I've used 8 bags so far, 9 bags.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Carla has her hand raised regarding Veronica's request about the recycling center. If you can allow Carla to bring her thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Sorry, we're going down a rabbit hole with that. It's kind of like there are numbers and investigate. I guess it just comes to this numbers and investigation to be had on both sides. So, Carla, floor is yours.
She muted.
She's trying to unmute herself. Carl, I think you're still muted.
I'll see her stuff. Yeah,
It's still muted.
getting there.
So Carla has shared to me that the recycling center is self-sufficient, which what she wanted to bring about that. Carla?
What they take in pays for what
Pays
they
for-
spend, you know, the employees and whatnot. So that is true, but
It doesn't create anything extra.
It's not
right?
helping to pay,
Not helping.
right?
no, that would.
Can you hear me?
She'll know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would be
Yes, Carol.
applied.
Can you hear me now?
Revolving.
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I'm a little confused about the recycling center because it is self-sufficient. And the current contract that we had for Shaw's gave us credits for disposing of the bulky and the wood and the plastic, which is separate from the batteries and the electronics. But it's self-sufficient, so I don't understand how we can just charge more fees for that. I'd like Veronica to give us a little more information on that, if she would, please.
It would be, I understand that it runs self-sufficiently and you have a revolving account, and that would remain as is. But for anybody that uses it, an additional fee that would be applied to tonnage, a $5 user fee or whatever.
How do you implement that? What does that mean?
That means that when you go to the recycling center, you pay what you would normally pay as if there were trash as we always had it.
But
And
we
then
don't don't dispose of trash at the recycling center. It is only
I
recycling.
understand that. I understand that. So it's illegal. Well then, I guess I would lay down on the side of no trash in town. Everybody does their own.
The other
no
problem with
way.
this that you're gonna have is if you go away with all the trash, it's all gonna go on the side of the road, and then the highway department is gonna have to pick it up, and we're gonna have to pay to dispose of it.
Do you really
So-
believe we have people in town who are the type of people that would do something like that?
No, they would have done
I
it.
would
They would have
certainly
done it.
hope.
I
the town
certainly have it all the time. It happens all the time. I get calls from the highway department. We've got a mattress over here. We've got some couches over here. Can you bring them down? We've got tires here. And we bring them to the recycling center and we
All right,
dispose of them.
Okay.
Okay,
there's
so
X amount of
then that's what we have here in town then, I
people.
suppose,
I'm
if we're
surprised.
gonna go with no trash at all. If there is a way that,
No trash.
you know, Nelson said there's a tipping point on the bags, we could increase the price of the bags.
I've
we
talked
could-
to Irene about that on numerous accounts, and she highly suggests against it. The bags were $3,
She does
and we
say
raised.
in here, she said, there's a letter in here that says, if you come to the point where you don't think you can, you could increase the bags. I thought I read that in here. You know, if you have a way, do you have a suggestion for how we cover this? Because our free cash pretty much goes to snow and ice and then capital at this point.
I understand.
That's pretty much where it goes.
I
And so-
understand.
Okay, so do you have a suggestion?
I
how
do
we-
have, I don't have a suggestion as far as how to reach your revenue, but I do have suggestions with the recycling center. Because we're regional, I have reached out to the town of Lunenburg, who actively have people who use our recycling. And I'm trying to enter into a municipal agreement with the town of Lunenburg where they pay X amount of dollars and they have stickers on their cars. So when they come for recycling, that used to be free at the recycling center, the new contract one will be charging us. So
And
I
that's-
have to find a way how to alleviate the extra fee from the residents of Townsend.
So those fees could be applied to the tonnage? Is that what you're saying? The Lunenburg, sticker fees?
Actually, it was, I have to dispose of it at the recycling center, so it would go to the revolving account for the recycling center to keep us operating. We're also losing $10,000 a year in the purple overflow bag revenue that the town voted for in 2015. And when you went to the purple bag program, we have lost that revenue. The committee assured the Board of Health that that will be a municipal transfer at the end of the year, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And that's another $10,000 that we've lost for the recycling center. And then there's the $6,000 that we lost through the contract. So we're working now in a $16,000 deficit. So increasing fees or anything at the recycling center is not useful for the residents, but we can try to offset it for the other residents, but we'll have to go to the recycling center to remain open and be self-sufficient.
Chairman, if I may.
Alan, do you have something?
Yeah, go ahead.
From the numbers that we have from what people have paid for the purple bags, and we are running through estimates because we just started with the program. Right now, with the numbers that we have and where the numbers are regarding the purple bags, I think that the purple bags could cover all that. I mean, I'm not a mathematician or an accountant. I'm a social worker, but that is seeing the numbers. But the Board of Health currently is against having having set up a fee to the people of Townsend, and with the support of Irene as well, with the contract that the board had approved, I think that should be the best route to go. From our last board, I'm not going to recommend any other proposals other than it was approved.
Okay, good.
Geraldine has some.
If we go to the stickers with another town, those stickers are gonna cost you something too, so they're not free. They run between, I'm gonna say $75 to $90 a year, so you have to take that into consideration. And I also believe that forever you have to use their bag.
Plus you also have to put it in your vehicle and.
And you have to get it in your car and drag it there, so.
No, I think everyone's misunderstanding the other towns coming in. It's just for the recycling. Regional people come in and they pay the same price for all the fees that the towns and residents pay. If you have a mattress, you pay $50, whether you're a Townsend resident or not. But recycling and paper and cardboard, you're recycling paper and cardboard and glass. Those things are free to drop off at the recycling center as of now. And if we're going to be charged by Shaw's, we are looking at entering into municipal agreements with the towns. Lunenburg advertises that they can go bring their recycling for free to the Townsend Recycling Center. So, and Lunenburg is they're very okay with entering into an agreement. We talked about a flat fee. We're looking at around $1,500 a year. And then they have a sticker, so when they come into and they start putting in their recycling, the employees will know that it's an out-of-town resident that has the right to use the recycling. But it's very new. We've never been charged for all the recycling and the trash at the recycling center, and the only trash that's at the recycling center is the trash that the employees use and the general trash that operating a business would use. But it's not open for public residents. So there is disposal cost.
Lunenburg, whatever you do with Lunenburg doesn't benefit the town at all. It only benefits the recycling center is what I'm hearing.
Benefits Lunenburg.
Which ultimately benefits the town of Townsend.
How?
It keeps the recycling center open at costs that they can afford.
But it does not help with the tonnage of the trash contract.
It does not.
Okay, so what we're looking for is a way to cover the tonnage.
And the recycling center isn't going to work.
Well, then.
Thank you, Carla, for making that clear. So what's the next step?
I think with the school override unknown, I don't think we're in a position to make a decision on this. Yeah, I think we're have to put it on hold for the minute. We could probably do a little bit more analysis in the coming weeks, but without the school budget override.
Did they take a vote last night?
They did.
Mm-hmm.
I think they ended up reducing. Yeah,
They didn't
budget.
give you they didn't send you the letter yet.
No, I reached out to the school committee member. So I think, yeah, so I think that would result in a $600,000 savings. And if it is a proportional amount coming back to Townsend, you're looking at a reduction in about $240,000 in the assessment. But that's still little, the assessment is still a little over $1 million over from last year.
So the assessment is over, so it's 1.1 million, 1.2 million. And you're saying that they took the 240,000 off that number? Or is that the number?
No, that's the total assessment amongst the three towns.
Oh,
So
you have
to proportionally divide it up amongst the three towns. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about 240,000 in reduction to Townsend, but
to Townsend.
Yeah, but you're still the budget override is like 1.3, so you take that off and you're a little over $1 million. So that we need to come up.
So do we have a translation number for that percentage?
Okay. I was gonna say, before we jump to school.
Finish your rubbish.
Well,
So what are we putting?
What are we doing?
The budget for trash. My vote would be 0, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
I was gonna say, I mean, that makes our budget, the budget target maybe more attainable. It's kind of like.
Well, that's good news.
And then,
Well, I mean, we're talking about between the totals of that, but we do have to, look at any other impacts on doing it and getting out of it. I know we have the folks for the municipal, dumpsters around each place.
yeah, we would
So
have
that's-
to still cover
has to
that,
be- Right, so that,
but,
That's a different,
but yeah, I mean, we'll put that in somewhere, but I think, I don't know how we could fund. I would love to fund the trash, but if we don't have a plan to increase fees somewhere to get things into the
Right.
general fund or to free cash, to have that extra amount to offset the difference between pay as you throw and what we actually pay, I don't know how we do it. So if there are suggestions for ways to collect funds somewhere to build that, I'm in. But if we can't come up with a way to cover the tonnage, whether we do the collection only, we still have tonnage, or the full price contract, if we don't have a way to cover those funds, I don't see how we can
it's not a
do it at
service that
all.
we can continue with, but again, we patch work.
Chairman,
Yep, I'll let
if
you-
I may, in my conversation that I had with Lori, she had mentioned that that she had told us that that the other way to supplement that part will be through the free cash. So I don't know why that is not, that is,
Things.
I can't go to free cash.
that-
That's already going to other
Right,
things.
yeah, so-
Snow and ice that's already spent. And,
sure, this
Right,
year.
this stabilization is the capital items that we just.
Yeah,
listed.
we just went
We
through
can,
capital planning.
I have a question about this. If we go to the pay your own trash, we just say zero trash for this year on the budget and we institute, everybody get their own. And we get ourselves back square on our budget for we're able to afford all our services in our school. Just say 2 years down the line, just say. Can we go back to it if there's enough?
Sure.
So it's not like it's the end of the world.
Put out, the Board of Health or whomever would put out an RFP, and it would be a competitive bid process.
So
for
it could
trash.
be reinstated.
It could be.
And I just want to give you a tiny look. This is a big deal for me because actually my mother actually sat on the board when trash became part service for the town. So I feel like I'm betraying my family. So I just want to make sure that we can come back to this. So we can in 2 or 3 years. So I don't get haunted.
We'll hold you.
Good.
You can bring it up, but everything that we're doing is not sustainable.
right, that's the.
There's no place to get the money from.
Oh, I know, I
Everything
am
goes up
worried, believe me,
unbelievable.
I'm all about, let's get our own, I know it might be, we're gonna have to help those people, we're gonna have to come together as a community, like you brought up, and help the people that can't afford it somehow, some way, we'll talk to someone, but
But
we don't have the money and we can't get it, how do you get, it's like trying to get water from a stone.
I do think, we certainly don't need to make a decision tonight, and I'd rather we don't. You know, sit on it. We still have the school override, and, you know, at the budget summit, we'll talk about the recap, take a look at the numbers. So I think making a decision tonight is probably premature, because there's still a lot of questions that I think we need to have answered, you know, scenarios that we need to run to see if we can make it work. It certainly helps that the school budget got reduced last night. It helps. If what I expect is going to happen does happen, you know, $240,000 less than now we're expected to pay. So I think
If the override passes.
Yeah.
If the override.
I mean,
passes.
it is less than what we
Still
expect to pay, but to pay it, we will need the override. If we don't have an override, then we have to cut further town service.
So this is ultimately gonna be the decision of the town. I mean, this is all gonna be put out for them to make the decision. We can sit here and talk all night, but they get the end.
Right,
Well,
they get the
okay.
end and
Yeah.
the other.
Mr. Chairman, Here's the situation regarding about the issue with the purple bags. The thing is that when we started with the program, as my understanding, Carla, you can correct me, we were given a grant for implementing the purple bag program. And if we just go on the route on no trash or no nothing, I mean, we're gonna lose any grant that we are possible to be. And I want to make clear for the record that the Board of Health is affirmatively recommending this contract, and that no fee should be placed on the people of Townsend. I mean, there are other things that the town has invested other monies, but for this, I mean, and I mean, we can ask Nelson, for example. I mean, how much money will we lose with the purple bag contract? I mean, but right now, the Board of Health is firmly on the decision on staying with the recommended contract, and we should continue with pay as you throw. That is the Board of Health's position on this. That'll be all.
Yeah, no, I understood. And if we do put this into the budget, we have to find that way, that method to fund it. So those are the pieces we did talk about. It takes a little more investigation now to see if there is something else we can do, or put it on as an override.
I think there's a question.
I think one thing that might be helpful is communicating to the town that there might be other services lost to pay for trash.
Right, yeah.
Because I mean, I think people don't understand, like, if you are paying.
If we pay for trash,
you don't pay your trash, you may not have
Oh, well, yeah.
as many hours at the
trade
trash center or at the town hall. So I don't think that was communicated
Right,
last year, so.
That's if the override doesn't pass. And then,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
even if it passes on the 10th, it has to go to ballot
Correct.
on the 28th.
Yeah.
So we still won't know.
Right.
So we need two budgets, one with the override and one without the override.
Yep.
And although we might not have it on March 10th, because we don't have final numbers from the school yet, we won't have final numbers until the end of April, because they don't really know the Chapter 70 money till then. They have a possibility, but it changes every year.
Yeah, the cherry sheets are.
So we need two budgets. Here's what it's gonna be if an override, and here's what it's gonna be if not.
That's wise. That's a wise move. That's a wise move.
I just had, so if we do away with the trash, we have to let people know to stop buying purple bags.
Oh, yeah,
like
a 6 month.
Exactly,
right.
because
True.
you're gonna have a ton of people very upset buying purple bags that they no longer
Can use.
So,
Use it to throw the trash.
well, I mean, yeah, but you're spending so.
No, I get it. No, I totally get it.
So I don't wanna wait till like, the final day. We need to let people know
Well, I would-
what our decision is, so they don't.
I would probably start spreading that message now. We don't know if the purple bag program is gonna be around on July 1st. Don't buy a bunch of bags just to have them.
Don't hoard your bags.
Just buy what you need.
What about,
There's plenty of bags at the store, so it's not gonna run out, so there's no
does that
point in.
affect, now, this is my other question. The stores have these purple bags.
And they pay.
And they pay for them. So do we let the stores know, don't, at some point, don't like
Don't
renew?
stop.
The whole
Restock.
supply chain, the whole supply chain, after the manufacturer has to stop manufacturing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
And with all due respect to the town administrator, I think it's not a wise decision to spread the word as of right now, since the committee and the select board and even the Board of Health haven't decided on anything on making those assumptions, even in public and even if it is recorded. So, and with the purple bags, we do lose revenue, and the town administrator knows that. So I'm responsible to spread that type of word. I think that we should come up to an agreement with a contract that's reasonable, that doesn't put any more money on more weight on the people's pockets. That's all.
I'm finding it extremely difficult to listen to all this maybes and might be's having to do with what leaves this town in a trash truck. I run a little horse farm, a very little horse farm, right down the road, and I know pretty much every bag of grain that's bought. I know how to plan into the future. I know how many grain bags we don't buy anymore because we don't have those horses anymore, several of them. And I have a way to prognosis approximately what is going to happen this coming year. What I have left out of actually left in the budgeting factor is that emergency, the horse off to the hospital, the horse to, has to be put down, whatever. I have all those contingencies from the past built into the budget. If it doesn't happen, great. I don't understand why Shaw's doesn't know how many times his trucks go and dump and pay that tipping fee every year from the past 5 years plus. I've got 5-year records. I got 7-year records.
But as Carl presented, the multiple years back, we had more barrels we could bring to the curb, so there was more trash.
No, it's not what we give him.
Right.
It's what he gives them.
But again, it decreased till we got to the 2 barrels per household.
So it's the tonnage has come down.
Yes, the tonnage has come
So,
down.
but you also have the last 3 years. The 5-year, the 7-year, the 10-year has a different tonnage, but he still knows how many times he paid his
Don't know if he recorded it at the time. I suspect he did because he gets billed by the ton. But he might have mixed trucks in different towns.
That's a possibility. Somehow there should be a way to come up with a reasonably accurate information. Where did you get $17.50 for the bags? I mean, was that just pulling an apple off the tree and saying, I think this will do?
Well, again, that was, it started with the overflow bags. The trash was in the budget, and we said, if you have additional, the $350 was enough to cover the
I wasn't giving you any more back 5 years ago than I'm giving you now.
Right.
Well, maybe you should ask the Board of Health. They should be able to get that from him.
Right.
So,
Mr. Chairman.
There's some
Mr.
way
Chairman.
to be able to look at a chart.
Yeah. Right. So look at a spreadsheet and figure out, what we have done year after year with all the stuff put together, the actual cost is. And from there, start making a decision as to whether you want to charge me $5 a bag, $7 a bag, or keep it at the $3.50 a bag. Okay, yeah, in the room, yeah.
Shaw's from last year to this year with the purple bag conundrum, he's not picking up what he was picking up last year, or 2 years ago, or 5 years ago. People have got their own dumpsters now, people are throwing them in the woods, I haven't thrown away the same amount of trash I threw away 2 years ago. So he can't give you a decisive number from.
But he can give you what he's done for the last year, and he can balance that from the year before, and we can see that the load is coming down.
It's coming down, yeah.
Okay, so the load would have a little bit to do with the tipping fee. How many times you have to go off to the dump?
Okay.
Right, so therefore.
Mr. Chairman?
Included.
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
I want to ask because now this is my impression, and correct me if I'm wrong. Before there was a huge from the Board of Selectmen wanted to approve the all-inclusive trash contract, and now out of the sudden now they're not a board of anything. So I'm kind of lost because where are they going, and how should we go as board, because we've been trying to figure this out, and this trash contract has been taken away from the hands of the Board of Health, and now the Board of Selectmen is saying that they're not approving anything. So if they can give clarification out of this situation, because I'm totally lost, honestly.
There's no decision that's been made. That has been stated. We're not in a position to make a decision. But thank you for your quotes that you got for us.
Right, it will help for the comparison between the pickup with tipping fees or the all-in plan. So if there is any comparison to be done, you can compare those numbers together and see which one may work.
So, Don,
And how to fund it, yes.
so I just did a quick, back of the envelope calculation, using the report that we got tonight, using the numbers from October, November, December, and January, which are actually pretty consistent between 129 and 135 tons for trash. So I just picked 130 and multiplied that by 12 to get 1,560 tons for the year. Multiply that by the fee on the schedule, and that comes out to 163,000. For the recycling, I did the same thing, and that came out to 93,000. So for the tipping fees, right, that you're concerned on, we don't know what the tipping fees would be. I think we can make a guess that we're looking at 260,000 for that. And I think that's a reasonable estimate based on the trash activity that we've had since we moved to the purple bags. I don't think we can use the numbers before the purple bags because like has been said, all of our trash activities have changed from that because of this. But October, November, December, and January, when we've been doing the purple bags, those are the numbers, and they're actually pretty consistent. So I don't really see those changing too much. Now, maybe I should say 135 instead of 130. I could see, maybe bumping the average up a little bit, but I think we're looking at 260, 275.
Yeah, so
in that range.
And I will just throw up on the screen and highlight the.
Yeah, and I think the problem with what you did here, Don, is the numbers in October, November, and December have gone way down because.
No, but this is the one where I took out the 44 tons per. So if I look at my tonnage, I'm right here with your number at 264,000. So we're in the ballpark. You add that together with the 478,980, which is the curbside pickup, you're running a contract that's looking for $743,000.
So that's slightly less than the
It's slightly less. It's 26,945 less than the all-in.
And what's the bag? But you still have to pay that delta. And we don't have a way to do it.
Right, and that's, again,
and
this is
there have been no suggestions for ways to collect funds in town to pay that delta.
At this table right now.
I think bottom line is there isn't a way right now to pay for the difference.
There isn't, but suggestions would be helpful.
Yeah.
And if there isn't a way, then how do you go forward? Whether you do the open-ended or the fixed fee.
Now, which one of those numbers is what we're getting for the purple bags?
This does not include, this is.
She said the delta is the difference between who and where.
We're assuming 40,000 in revenue.
40,000 per month?
Yeah, so 480 for the year.
Which almost covers the collection. So it's how do you pay for that?
That pays for the tipping fee.
No, it doesn't.
So it pays for the base fee.
You could look at it either way.
The dump for a year.
Right. And we're not gonna solve it tonight.
Yeah, but the
The total on it
collection.
is 885.
Right, so the fixed fee,
the fixed fee is 478.
okay,
So
that
that-
usually comes out of the tax base.
Yeah,
The bags are supposed to pay for the tipping.
No,
No,
That's the way they typically
This
are
year,
paid.
it
does.
right, it's gonna, so.
Okay.
The ratio can change from town to town as long as.
Move on.
Tonight.
I'm gonna try to reel
Yeah.
it back in.
Yeah,
We
let's
have a
do
lot of
that.
questions,
Yeah.
but it used to come out of the tax base. The whole thing was covered. This year, we needed additional revenue to cover it. The tax base didn't cover it. And even with that additional revenue from the purple bags, it did not cover it. We had to come up with extra money to cover it, about, let's see, 400, 500,000 had to be found in various places, including taking it from our stabilization fund, which has decreased. So it's kind of like we really didn't have the money in the budget. We had to scrape and find money in different places that's no longer available for next year. So all of this money, both have to be funded some by Purple Bag or another revenue source, which we haven't identified.
Can I say one more thing on?
You can.
You know, not to piggyback off of Carol's comment, I don't wanna be sounding the alarm that we're getting rid of trash, but at the same time, I really do wanna educate everyone. We're basically in the end of February here. Some people may be buying bags or has a bunch of bags at home. I don't want, if for whatever reason we don't do trash, I don't want residents to be stuck with these bags at the end of June and they paid good money for it and they're no longer getting, you know, the service that they expected from the bag. So again, I'm not sounding the alarm here, but I do want people to understand that this might happen. So there's no reason to buy a bunch of bags that you might not be able to use by the end of
But you also
June.
have to let the stores know too, so they don't
Yeah.
start.
Again, that whole supply chain, the manufacturer doesn't
Yeah.
want to manufacture them, so we have to
Yeah.
stop.
So
I-
at some
enough in
point,
the-
we gotta make a decision and then notify people.
Well, I think notifying the stores would be helpful because they're all local businesses.
Mhm.
I don't want them to be saddled with cases of these bags that they can't sell. So I will have the conversation with them sooner rather than later. Not that I'm telling them that we're gonna get rid of the program, but I want them to, you know, have the, you know,
Yeah,
it might happen. And for them to be
And
ordering,
maybe not order as big.
yeah, so for them to, you know, be a little bit more cautious on how much they end up ordering. Cause, I don't, cause if we were to make a decision, it's not gonna be today or tomorrow, it's gonna be like a month or two from now, and by then, you know, all this time will have passed, and people might not have sufficient notice, so I'd rather put the bug in their ear now versus a month or two from now.
Well, it's March.
Good,
We
okay.
should know by the end of.
Tomorrow's March.
Friday, no, Saturday.
Saturday. Oh, yeah, on Thursday. Oh, yeah, it's
Thursday.
on Saturday tomorrow. I guess I'm a day.
Still pick up until.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
I feel like that might not even be enough notice.
Just don't do it like it was dumped on us last year for the purple
No,
bags. That was horrible. That was like a month.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be, and I think and to the question that was brought up earlier, I think if we had the grant, we're supposed to repay it if we're not continuing.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Well, we haven't,
But that's a
We
drop.
haven't touched.
It's a drop in the
we haven't
bucket.
received it yet, and we actually haven't even touched it, so
Okay.
we could
Oh,
simply just
so there you
return the
go.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect, so it's kind of like, I just wanted to be,
We haven't received it,
No,
no.
Not yet.
and when
nothing's
we,
been spent.
what's that?
Nothing's been spent.
Oh,
right, it hasn't been received, it's not in the coffers, and we haven't spent it on anything, so.
So
it doesn't exist.
when we receive it, is that something that we have to use this fiscal year, or could that be applied to next fiscal year?
This fiscal.
They actually, I believe were generous enough and they gave us a 1-year extension. So we have until the end of next fiscal year to expend the $62,000 that was given to us through the grant.
So that 62,000 could
Yes.
partially go towards this. And then if we discontinue the program, we basically have to give that 62,000 back.
Correct.
Or tell them not to send it if we
Right,
haven't
if we
received it
don't
by
get
the
it,
time
yeah.
we decide to stop. Right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
2 years.
Okay.
To qualify.
if I may,
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question then. What would happen if we go to waste zero? What's going to happen with the contract then? Because I'm kind of, if someone can clarify me or clarify to the public about that,
Well, there's no-
probably the town administrator can clarify that.
I think that would be part of the investigation that we would have to go through, because Waste Zero is the manufacturer, and I don't know what the contract is, or if we have a contract
I
with them.
don't know.
There's a process for payments back and forth in the revenue, so we have to make sure that the revenue and payment
There's that money going out.
processes are all buttoned up as a part of this too. It's kind of like, it's not just just as simple as say, no more purple bags or anything. There's a lot of processes and things and links to account numbers, that are in there. So we have to make sure that things are open long enough to do the final transfers if people have purchased near the end. It's bigger than just budget items.
So this number's 62,000, that was the grant, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we've been selling these bags now since October. How much money have we generated?
There was a report.
They just did it.
40?
No, that
No,
was
no, no.
next year.
It's about 40K a month.
40,000.
I think is what we were using as the number.
40K a month, and the grant was what?
Sorry.
62.
62.
So
We have the money to pay the grant off.
They
No,
got it.
no,
They didn't get it yet. We don't have.
Oh, we
it.
didn't get it
The
yet,
grant's a
oh,
lot.
okay.
They haven't.
The grant's not approved.
Oh,
And the
well, you
question
keep bringing it
about the
up, so
money
I
for the.
assumed we had it, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the
that's
question about how much money do we have, that the state allocated that we could have 390 of revenue for the 9-month period. So that's the number we have to, and that goes in line with the 40,000 a month in revenue that we're getting. So we had estimated that we were gonna get 550,000 in that 9-month period, and we were short of it by that much money. And the state, when they came in to validate it, did not let us have more than the 390 was it.
How much were we
Yeah.
short? Did you say?
That was taken up by the ARPA money in December, so that shortfall, so in order to set the tax rate that we set for this year, in December, some ARPA money was shifted around to match and cover the money that the DLS did not let us.
Who's keeping track of that money? Where is it?
As far as the money, the revenue that comes in,
Well,
it comes into the
from
general,
the stores.
it comes into the general fund, the treasurer records it. Right now, I did it again, accountant.
Accountant, okay.
So, I'm sorry, one,
We have to take our boys out here, but like.
Sure.
Sorry.
Yeah.
For your time and
Yeah, thank you.
I'm just gonna ask their opinion.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay, so who has the contract?
get the names and send an email.
Paper- Who has the contract for the paper bag? The paper bag,
you for
the
coming,
purple
guys.
bag contract. Don't we have a contract with them?
I have something with them, yeah. I think the
Because
only,
what are the terms of the
I think
contract?
the only thing we actually signed at that point was the,
Because we need to know what the terms of that contract are before we get it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because if there's any kind of, I mean, yeah, are we on the hook for buying so many bags?
I need to have I think the only thing we actually ended up signing with them was the custodial agreement, which was that, the banking agreement, you know, they collect all the money from the stores.
Okay,
The stores
Just-
pay them,
just review it.
yeah, so I think that was the only thing we
Okay.
had signed.
They collect money from the stores.
Is with the supplier to supply the bags.
Because
That's the only
the
contract.
stores buy from them,
Is with the
and so there's an
supplier to supply
invoice
the
between.
bags.
the
Who
store-
buys for the store, the con?
They
They do their own?
The stores give that PO to Waste Zero. Waste Zero will ship the bags to them,
I see.
invoice them, and the stores will pay Waste Zero. Waste Zero then transfers that revenue to us into the account that is set up for
Is
them.
there like a transfer fee or something?
So they take
No,
a fee off,
no.
it. They take a fee for manufacturing the bags.
Mhm.
We pay, you know,
Oh, they make the bag.
they make.
Oh, they
the
make the
bags.
bags. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
makes the
oh,
bag.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
But they're
So-
also doing this extra step for us, this accounting, you know, billing, shipping, because otherwise I don't know how we would do it ourselves. So this is.
Well, they take a fee for that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's probably built into the fee that
Yeah.
that we pay for the bags.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would imagine.
it is, it is. built in.
Let me ask Nelson, how long is that contract for? Is it for a year, over a year? Because if we breach that contract, that means that there's more money that we have to pay. And that means that if we're still struggling to get a decision on what we're gonna take the trash on, I mean, how, is there a violation stipulation about breaching that contract ahead of time?
Really?
I think the only thing I remember us signing was actually that custodial banking agreement. We actually never, I'll need to check. I think there was a whole back and forth back in the day, and I don't think we actually officially signed, anything.
Good news.
Well, I remember for one of those meetings, they weren't gonna do something until you signed a contract.
They were, and I think the agreement was we would down the road work it out.
Really?
Yeah, but I know for a fact I never signed any
Okay.
long-term contract with them. But I will talk with them to see if we can get out of it, and if there's any implications. But I'm almost certain that we never signed a long-term agreement with Waste Zero. There were talks about doing it, but
Because I know at one of those meetings, it was like, we can't start till you sign the contract.
right.
But
And
if they change their mind, then, okay.
I wouldn't say they changed their mind. We were gonna revisit it down the road, and
That's not good business practice for me, but but hey,
Well,
whatever.
the whole thing wasn't a good business practice.
I mean,
30
I
day,
mean,
okay,
I'd
guys.
be never be without a contract. I guess I wouldn't be manufacturing bags, but that's me. So,
Okay,
No, you're not a
so,
salesman either, Carol.
oh, yeah.
so I think, it's probably too soon to vote or decide anything. I think it's just, no, but I'm just saying, we haven't agreed to, we haven't agreed, we haven't agreed on any option at the moment.
Yeah.
there's no option.
No, we're waiting
Not
for
included,
suggestions.
One version.
We're hoping everyone in town is watching this and they're all gonna be
Yeah.
thinking about it and calling us.
Yep, and let us
Well, they can call you.
help us.
Maybe they have a suggestion.
Yeah,
Okay.
do.
So, moving on in the next part of the budget, 2.4 is the finance committee budget.
Oh, yes, budget.
We have a budget.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So we have actually two department codes. We have 131, which is our expense. And the expense detail is, we have one line, and it's 750 for dues and subscriptions. And I would like to keep it the same going and keep it level funded. We're using it to pay the MMA and the ATFC, training classes, training materials.
What, the clothing allowance?
Yeah, where's our
Nope.
program?
We're not in the union.
Yeah, the bargain.
We're gonna have to do it.
And I will say, Carol is doing this, I think when I read the bylaws, ours are the only bylaws that you could do a stipend for the clerk, so.
Oh, you brought that up. Carol, put it in.
You're.
We
Zero?
can take it out.
Can I take, can I put my,
Let's put it in and take it.
okay,
Put
the
it in.
$1,000, I
Yeah.
think that's a stipend
So
everybody
we
gets.
can all increase our pay next year by 100%.
Okay.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero still be
Yeah,
zero.
right.
So it's 131 and 132, is that what you
Right,
told
so
me?
130, yep,
131 is expensive?
131, it is, the only is expenses, we don't have labor.
Okay.
And
What's 132?
130, we'll get to that next,
Okay.
right? Again, if we look at the BVA so far, we've used 393. We printed the manuals this year, plus the 200, and roughly 200, I think it was $196 to the finance committee dues for the MMA.
This is all I'm saying, we said,
Okay, yeah, would you like to increase it? I would love to. It's kind of like, and that's, so, okay, that's
That
it.
was
Any-
increased like maybe 2 years ago or so, 3 years ago. It used to be like 25,000 and it got up to 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
do
we
we?
can't do with that, because that's not the reserves for the town.
Okay, no, so let's finish with 131. Dues and membership, any questions? Keep it the same, we're all good?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, the bus goes, okay, 132. reserve fund. This, not everybody has seen yet because we have our 3 new members. The reserve fund is $50,000. It is approximately 0.4% of the town budget. This reserve fund is here in the event that anything unplanned for comes up. And unplanned for does not usually include, it depends on interpretation, but like when there was the sewer pumps failed last year, that money came from the reserve fund. When there were co-pays for insurance, it came out of this fund. That actually, those 2 are really unplanned. They have a maintenance and repair and facilities. So that was underfunded. That really isn't what our reserve fund is for. But we used it for those things. We did have a lightning strike with the police last year, so that was covered and on their tower. That probably hits it, but you know, there's just different things. This reserve fund is supposed to be unanticipated. If you underfunded a budget like maintenance and repair, that really isn't something that.
Maintenance and repair is funded on known averages over a long period of time, and sometimes
it's always, yeah,
you know,
that's what
something goes really wrong that you can't plan for at all.
Right. So those are the kinds of things that it has been used for in the past, and
right,
we were probably stretching the use of it. There isn't a reason why you can't have a second reserve fund, so that because if everybody put an extra $10,000 in their repair fund, you've now got $30,000 if you don't use it. But there doesn't, you could have an additional reserve fund that is for unbudgeted things that could be used to transfer. And again, a reserve fund can be used for the entire year. When we get to the last 2 months of a budget year, you can do municipal transfers and transfer from one budget to another.
And that's what you use that for?
No, this reserve fund is not used for that. This is for the entire year. The transfers are only available in the last 2 months of a fiscal year.
Yeah, so in this past fiscal year,
Mhm.
did you use any of the 50,000?
We were down, we overextended it, yes. So we used all but.
Last year, you mean?
Last
In this
year.
fiscal year,
In this
nothing
fiscal
has
year,
been
we have
spent.
not had anything yet.
I'm talking about fiscal 25.
Correct,
Oh,
nothing has
okay.
been
Sorry.
spent at
I
fiscal
think you said last
25.
year.
Oh, well, to me.
In the
yeah,
latest
I got 2 months
BBA.
left here,
Yeah.
So we still have the $50,000
We still
sitting
have
there,
50,000.
and in July or June or May, we can transfer, use it for transfer or no?
No. That,
Okay.
if we don't use it,
Yeah,
that's more money that goes into the free
General
cash
fund.
certification.
So that becomes part of the
Okay.
free cash certification. It doesn't become
Right.
available until
Right.
December or
following
January.
year.
And
Yeah.
again, that's probably why we have tried to keep this amount low.
but we didn't use it
Right, because
all,
if we
can we
budget
make
a
it
huge
lower?
number here,
Okay, so last year we used,
Or what did
we
what's the average?
expended 42,000 out of it,
Mhm.
but we had requests that were pending, waiting if they didn't work. There was another 13,000, so it would have been overdrawn when we go back and look at what we did last year.
So what about like for the past 5 years, for example, is it used every year?
It has been used every year.
Okay.
Different pieces, we can go back. And this is something maybe we want to have a discussion about. Right now, there's a form that gets filled out. Board of Selectmen have to sign it, or, no, sorry. No, it just gets submitted. But what I was thinking is maybe we should have the accountant be and codify the process that it goes through the accountant so she can see it, and then she issues it to the inbox for the finance committee to review. So that well, if the department head puts it in our mailbox and we happen not to be meeting for 2 weeks, it's gonna sit there for 2 weeks. If it goes to the accountant.
Then maybe it should go to the select board.
No, this is not a select board piece. If you want to be the pass-through, it certainly can happen.
I'm just thinking, as far as things getting checked goes, the
Mhm.
select board is always here, the finance committee isn't, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of, but if anybody is checking it and going to do the work, it's the accountant. So it seems.
I would disagree. I think
Okay.
the
We can keep it
select
the way it
board
is.
can see that it's for the finance committee and put it in your box or give you a call or.
Right, I think
I
that's.
hate to add more work, but it seems like it would be easy enough to do that.
And what I have been doing is assigning numbers to them. It was something that I learned through ISO 9000 and things, is you number documents. And so I keep a log, and each of the documents has a number assigned to it so that you can track it. And if anybody has a question, they have a reference number to go back. You're not just looking for a single piece of paper.
You would still be the person tracking that. It would just
We
be
can
a,
do that.
hey, you
It's
have
gonna-
mail
Yeah.
notification.
Yep, that's all we need. It's kind of like just so that if anybody's waiting for it, it's kind of like, that.
I don't think anybody's
Or
ever really
wouldn't-
waited.
Why wouldn't they contact you directly then?
But until you.
I don't think we've ever really
They should,
waited. I don't
they
think-
should have my contact information, but, don't know that I've.
Do
ever-
all department heads know that these funds exist for unplanned expenses?
Here's a question.
Well, they probably would go to the town administrator and ask when they have
Right.
an issue, but, police, fire facilities, town clerk, I can go over the list of who submitted them before.
Yeah, theoretically,
I think it's.
they work their own budgets until they find a hole they can't fill, and then they should go to
Right.
him.
Yeah, I
And saying
wouldn't
what to
have-
do,
I
and he
think
says,
it's
fill out this
$1,000
form and hand it to
Just
us.
leave it right where it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
So, and again, we probably need to update the form. The form is referencing a Mass General Law that has been superseded in the prior year to change the amounts. And maybe that's the transfer at the end of the year. So there's a couple of form updates that are needed. So anyway, back to reserve fund is sitting at 50,000. I think it's a reasonable amount. We did increase it, but when you think of the increase in the town budget over these years, this is really a tiny amount if we do have anything.
But it has come in handy for
It
lots
has
of
come in
people.
handy. I looked at some of the other towns around and they're 3 times the size of this, but and that may make more sense if we were to expand the uses for this, to say the repairs.
Well, not just for
I think we should just
emergencies,
leave it
really,
alone.
outside of
Just leave it
them. If
alone.
they turn
Leave it alone.
in the
Let's leave it
thing,
alone.
Yeah.
we already know how much money they have in that account. They tell us we have this much and this
all in a
much
form.
is now over that limit we have left.
Yeah.
It's certainly outside the normal repair.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't put in the budget for this little building itself.
Mhm.
Repair it, we'll have a budget for, over excessive repair of the elevator.
Mhm.
Okay, no,
We-
there's
we
an
had the same-
elevator
yeah.
thing in there, or it's grouped in with everybody else. But so when it went down, it went hard down.
Well, that was a safety issue.
Yeah,
That was above and beyond. They had a contract for normal repairs, but it was a safety issue that.
right, that's what I'm saying. Those things happen to almost everything.
Okay, is
I
that
have a
it?
warranty on my car for everything
Okay.
that doesn't break.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
We do it now.
I don't know, I have no idea. I can't find out.
Yeah, I could keep it the way it is. Yeah, I had to push it to get it there.
What are we doing now?
Okay, so no changes to,
No.
No, no changes, we're good.
Are fire and FEMA farther down the budget or are they not coming in today?
Fire's not coming in.
right,
So they will be on
they
Saturday?
will be on Saturday.
That works.
He said that
It works for me, I won't
he
be.
wanted to do verbal updates, but I figured that would take him beyond the time limit.
Today.
Yeah.
Okay. So Saturday's good.
Is time limit on this?
No. The fire chief had commitment that he needed to get to. So if he had come in, I expected that there would be a lot more questions that would take him beyond this time limit. So we're in the Selectboard, I'm no longer sharing. So the page is in front of us.
Just 122?
Yes.
122.
Okay. How many pages is it actually?
How many pages is there, right?
Okay, so it's on the second, on the labor page, we have two pages.
But see, I don't know, the labor page board.
Okay.
So Nelson is on the labor page.
Okay, and then you flip it over. And you have the second page. Okay, put it in cells.
Where's Rebecca headed?
I don't know, she didn't say.
Sabrina, Callie, and Rebecca Morse.
Yeah, but that position was ARPA funds last year.
Mhm.
And we don't have those funds.
No, we don't.
So that position is gone.
Not necessarily.
It's just, it's not funded by ARPA anymore.
How we gonna fund it? We don't have any money.
We had
Yeah.
funded
Yeah.
it at 20,000 last year.
Yeah, correct.
So there was a little bit of money there, yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking about,
Does she wanna do that this year?
I think we should, at least for
For
part-time.
the
I was
20?
gonna say,
We should rework I feel like we should rework the job description, because one of the main things of that position was to use the ARPA funds for community services for each department: fire, police, recreation, council on aging, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody got a pot of money from ARPA, and the person coordinating that pot was the community services, the wellness coordinator. And then part of that job was also working with the senior center. There were things there that it was Karen Canfield Moore that did the job description with us. So part of that, because in the 10,000 a year came funding from COA for that position early on. So that you could, we had people that needed help with rent. We had people that weren't getting paid because of COVID. This was all COVID related.
And she helped them get funds from other places?
She used the money that we, the town, had for ARPA to get the services that were needed.
We don't have ARPA anymore.
But we don't have ARPA anymore. But the position is still needed to help the people in the community. So the job description needs to be reworked because it is no longer.
So you're saying to create a new job?
Not a new job,
a different revenue.
Part-time job.
Or create a new,
It's not
a new part-time
to
job.
update the,
To reduce the hours on the position.
and update the job description.
So
To
reduce
make
the
it
hours
right.
to what? What would you reduce it to?
We haven't made a decision yet, but we have 30 and, I don't know what's in this
That's a lot of
budget,
money.
so I have to look at
So
this.
how are we gonna fund these
$73,000?
positions that were paid for
I
out
thought we were
of
doing
our
30 and
No,
30.
that's for a full-time 40-hour.
I thought the ARPA funds were for one time only.
I thought, we don't have any funds.
We don't have any.
Okay.
There's no more ARPA funds.
Oh, I get there's no more, but I thought you went.
So how are we gonna pay for these two
Yeah.
positions that are
Well,
paid
the
for?
first one is through ARPA funding, and that was revenue replacement because personnel was in the budget from,
But-
I turned in the numbers 2018, 2019, 2020.
So is she still
and
getting paid out
never
of ARPA
funded.
funds?
Yes, because we preserved those funds
Okay, so she's
for
still
her
being paid.
salary
For how long?
For how
many
long?
more
for
years?
another year,
So one more year.
one
She
more
gets
year.
it from
And
ARPA.
so the idea is to build it within. So when we put these positions into place, the idea was to build it up each year through the select board so that it could be permanent after the funds were done.
Was that done?
We've done it twice.
I was gonna say, we really haven't put together a substantial plan to.
So you haven't maybe, but I
Well,
did.
But couldn't that money go to growth?
Well,
Well,
it,
shouldn't be.
it was planned for the position, but I don't know that we had the matching omnibus budget that.
Yeah, we did. Last year and the year before, there's money in here. If you look at the
Well, yeah,
BVA.
yes, we started to put money in there. It started
Correct.
at 10,000, went up to 20.
And there should be 220s in there now
Right.
for, in the BVA,
Right.
under Community Services and Human Resources.
Is that ARPA money left
No.
over?
No,
No,
that's what you were-
General
that's what you
funds.
were-
That's
you were-
where we're
yeah.
trying to build it.
Okay.
It
well-
didn't get spent. It got,
It
you know,
became
pulled
part of the
into free
flow.
cash.
So this is sort of like the one where we told the highway department we gave them 50,000 a year? Is it that kind of a thing to build up?
No.
Okay.
So that's for the
No,
road.
So
This is to build
No,
up,
I know why.
you're
What I'm
adding
saying is
money
it's the
into
same
this to
concept.
build up to her salary.
That's correct.
Yeah, we're weaning ourselves off of ARPA.
But you
little by
only have
little.
one more year.
Well,
Yeah,
in
so
theory,
we're
it would be
weaning
2 more
ourselves off
years,
of the
but
ARPA.
because
That's
what
we
the
happens
whole
after
plan.
we don't
trash,
have
we
enough
only
money
have
to-
1 more year.
to run
I don't
the town
Because
as
we
it
gave
is, I
up
would-
the
I think we
salary.
should-
Is that for both of them now? They
For-
both have 1 year?
No,
Okay.
no. Community wellness, we removed completely
Okay.
in
Okay.
December.
Okay.
Okay.
Because we don't have ARPA funds. We didn't remove it from our budget, but we removed it from ARPA.
Okay, so how are we
European.
paying for that position now?
Okay, so if she were to stay for next year, we have ARPA funds for the human resources.
Okay.
No, wait,
We have,
That Kelly.
we have ARPA funds for Cali. However, we've also, if we increase these two by 10,000, we have 60,000 here. And then we could take some transportation money from the Council on Aging to pay for the rest of the community wellness salary for next year. And then the following year, we would probably be looking at fully part-time for both of those positions, unless we have some infusion of cash from the state to cover the schools.
Okay.
You
I don't
know,
know.
in
I
which
think
case
Okay,
that's a
so-
stretch.
If they're both full-time now,
they are both full-time now.
okay, so and they get another year, basically.
One person gets another year.
Okay,
Human Resources gets another year. The community wellness gets paid through the Board of Selectmen budget in combination with the Council on Aging budget.
but then after the year, you say
Then
they
we
may go
would
to
be-
part-time?
Then we would be at 40,000 the following year for both positions here.
Okay,
And if you look at what they make, that is about half of each salary.
but then would they be told that they'd only be part-time?
Yes. And they would have to be.
Were they told that their position was full-time when they first came?
They
knew it
knew
was
that
under-
they were ARPA
So they
funded.
know,
Oh, okay.
that they could be using
And the
their job
wellness
in next year.
coordinator
Go ahead.
originally was only part-time.
Okay.
However, Council on Aging wanted to add to it to make it a full-time position.
Because of COVID.
If you watch I don't know what day it was, December of 2021, if you watch the Board of Selectmen meeting, you can see where all of this was discussed.
Okay, so
As long as
that's
they,
done.
as long as they
Yeah.
know,
But in any event, yeah, so
But
they
we're
knew
under
they
no
were grant
obligation, we're
funded.
under no obligation to keep these positions after the ARPA funds are gone.
That would be correct. However, the positions are an asset to the town.
Well, I understand that, but we need money.
Well, then, there are a lot of positions that we could look at and say, do we really need an assistant town clerk? Do we really need a full-time Board of Health agent? I mean, I can rattle
Yeah,
off
maybe.
on and on,
Well, we may have to look at that. I agree,
Well,
yeah.
but
depending on what the override
that's not
does.
what I'm advocating for. What
I
I'm
don't know why.
advocating for is to build up the possibility of keeping those positions.
Okay,
I mean, if you need help with food or housing or electricity, the person you go to is the community services coordinator, and they help you to apply for that.
Where did you go before you had created that position?
probably nowhere.
There
Not,
was-
not
there was
no
money-
CEO.
That's what I thought. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
said about
yeah,
CEO.
yeah,
Senior.
That kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
Does
There
it
was a
help?
place
Right.
people went.
Absolutely.
yeah, I probably would have gotten a TEO,
Yeah.
not knowing that I think TEO would have been
A
my
lot was
first.
done at the senior center.
So
Obviously,
who
yeah.
even knew about the quote unquote worthy funds prior to this being,
Well, I
being-
guess I wouldn't, if I wouldn't have known that the town had it, I would have gone to like a TEO of the,
Yeah, I
of
would've
the
too.
senior
Right, but
center.
the town does have funds to help people that were donated to the town lots of years ago. And those were disseminated only to people who knew about them. And they were not advertised and people didn't know what to do. So and here we are in a pandemic, you know, that was where we were in 2020.
Oh, not now,
Yeah.
Not now.
No.
And we had funds that could help people in town. So we did, because that was the intent of the money.
Right, but we're talking about position and. we're
Right,
gonna
so
find
we
money.
have been
Yeah.
attempting to build up that position
Yeah.
so that we do have the funds available in the general fund to keep those positions at some level.
At some level.
Correct.
I have to part-time.
Or full-time if we can do it. I mean, who knows?
Now, okay, so just explain to me, so when ARPA made the rules that you should not use the money for sustain.
ARPA didn't ever
Oh, they
say-
never made that?
They
Oh,
made a
never- oh,
rule
I
that
thought
you
they
could
did.
not use it for retirement. You couldn't use it to, and then they changed the rules, but you could never use it for retirement. You couldn't use it to pave the roads. There were certain uses, there are four categories that the monies are good for. And so you had to fit everything within those four categories. And you could only use for revenue replacement, there was a formula for it. So there was a certain amount that you could only use for revenue replacement. About 6 months to a year in, the Treasury Department changed that rule and said, oh, you can use it for revenue replacement, but you can't use it for paving the roads, for, funding your retirement plan, for paying for unemployment expenses. There were all these, no, you can't have it for that categories. So you would have to read the documents that came
that's
out
right.
from the Treasury Department. And they were on the website, but they're not anymore. Who knows where they are? But anyway, they were all available for people to look at prior. If you're curious about what it needed to be used for.
So those are two positions there. One can go for another whole year. I don't know, the
Human resources.
$73,000 position can go for another year, correct?
And we could put that in here and then put ARPA funds in the recap to, if you want to do it that way.
Well, don't you think that's a good idea?
We need to, the accountant, the town accountant, not the assistant town accountant, told us that we can't put the total in here if ARPA was covering part of it.
That's what it was
It's gotta-
before.
That's
That's
what it-
why
that's
the
what it
housing
was
trust
before.
wasn't in the BVA.
Right. And
So,
they were always zero, for the first couple of years, they were zero, so,
right.
they were positions, they were listed at zero. But as we do the recap and the revenue, I think it's very important for us to show the additional things that are ARPA funded and put the ARPA funds in there with the revenue sources, so
Right.
that we
I
see
think
the total.
that was always done, wasn't it? I think that
No,
was done
because the
last
ARPA
year.
funds, the things that the lines would decrease. It's kind of like,
What?
the lines was zero for years on these two positions. So they weren't there, so you didn't include ARPA because you
It
would've-
was ARPA, right.
Right.
But in the recap, you did reflect, didn't you? Wasn't it?
1 year
Okay.
is all we did, and then in September, that year, they had to spec everything out.
Okay.
So,
So undone.
so
So seeing it, I think is good, keeping it here, but when we do the omnibus budget to town, I think we have to decrease it to what the town operating is, because that's what they're gonna validate the budget on, where they have balance is.
Correct.
How much is on the budget that we're paying out of the revenue.
And at the moment, I just increased both, because, right now, each of those positions is funded at 20,000. I just put it at 30,000 each, just as a placeholder. We have to decide amongst us what it's gonna look like for next year.
Yeah, if FY 26 is the full year, the next year, FY 27 is only half a year. So it's done by the December, so it's gonna, the proper is done in that year.
Right.
Correct.
So I don't understand why one person is still an ARPA and the other one isn't.
Because we had to use the money for
We had to
trash.
balance
So you took the money away from that position to use it for trash last year.
This year.
December.
This year.
Yeah.
This year.
Okay,
It's funded through the fiscal year till
25.
July 1st.
The
Through
position.
ARPA, yes, which is FY 2025.
I get that part. Okay, I understand that. That's that one position, that, because it is wellness coordinator. She's funded through July 1 or June 30th.
Correct.
Correct.
And then that's it? That's the end? She doesn't get any more?
Well, not
she-
from
ARPA,
ARPA.
there's no more
not from
ARPA.
ARPA.
Different for the, what's she called?
The human
Human
resources.
resources.
Human resource.
So the human resource person, she has another full year of ARPA funds to run.
Correct.
Okay, so they're not equal positions, right?
The intent was to cover them for one more year.
And then let them go?
No, we would fund it at that point, with general fund dollars. That's why, each position was increasing 10,000 per year, which is what I was talking about earlier. We're weaning ourselves off of our.
No, you said that already.
Yeah, so that's how we would, make the switch over from ARPA to fully being funded through the general fund.
So should this budget though, the budget right now says 73 for each.
Yeah,
Should it instead have the amount that's being paid from the town general fund?
That's gonna be in the omnibus budget. We're gonna take that into account. These are just the raw cost of the
Yeah,
expenses.
this allows us to see the full impact, full schedule. As you take it out, it's kind of like,
But for the wellness coordinator, when the ARPA funding available to that, for that 73,000 for this fiscal, for 2026 is gonna be zero.
Correct.
So if the omnibus only puts 20,000 in there, it's only gonna be, or 30 or whatever,
Yeah.
it's only gonna be that amount, and that person will cut back the hours to go to part-time. But you also said that this individual left, so this individual's not here anymore.
That's
The
correct.
position, the position.
no, the person.
The position
The
is,
position stays, the person left.
and
The
who
person is
knows what
so the
happens with the ARPA funds that was gonna pay that person till July
Yeah.
1st.
Right.
Oh, she's leaving before July 1st.
Yeah, she put in, her 2-week notice this past Monday.
Well, that was probably wise because then she can control her life rather than wait and see what's gonna happen.
Actually,
Not a job.
that was actually one of the reasons why she was.
So that was smart of her.
Because all this uncertainty, who
Right,
wants to-
right, exactly. It's very stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for her.
So,
I wish her
And
luck.
really, some of what she does, and I know people that she's helped, some of what she does, there are many agencies that you can get rent assistance with, many.
And so who
There's
do
more
you
now than there
call?
were before the pandemic.
She's just a good, funnel, central
Yeah,
point.
resource.
She can tell you, this is where you get fuel assistance, this is where you can get some rental assistance.
Do we not have that on the website so people can just kind of go there and?
I mean,
navigate
we do,
themselves?
and I
If you
think,
could find it.
and I think, maybe now it's gonna be, some of the burden is more on the senior center staff potentially,
Right.
but, but the wellness coordinator doesn't just focus on senior citizens. There's
Right,
other
I get it.
other
Yeah, yeah,
demographics
yeah,
that
Correct, right,
need
yeah.
help too. So, the wellness corner does more than that, families, single mothers, single dads, it runs the gamut.
Right, no, I get it,
So-
right. So, But this is, yeah,
So
I'm
when
trying to
does it
save money
happen?
here, so. When we get back on our feet and we're making all kinds of money, and we can just have everything we want.
That would be a few years.
If the state comes through with our,
Well, state's
School
got to
funding.
know the school money, that's the
Yeah.
key here, we need the buses.
So what else is in here?
That's it.
For
There's only like
labor-
3 people that work
labor.
every time.
Four.
Who's the fourth? Sabrina, Nelson, oh,
And then. the-
no, two, the
then
two,
In our budget.
the two, right. Holy.
And then, thank you. Yep.
So did we level fund everything else in here?
We did. I think we can squeak by.
And the different numbers in here, does that cover like the whole building for, say, electricity, or does the electricity get split up between the different areas of the building?
Well, there's no electricity in the board.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, you're right.
It's the standard form for all
Right.
departments.
Okay, well, so information technology, that's the one. So is that what basically is paid just for the Board of Selectmen IT?
That's our contract for maintaining the website.
Yep.
Okay,
Which one are you looking at?
the line that says information technology.
Information technology. It had been a stipend position for a while, and I think this will be the second year that it's outsourced.
Okay, so the 6,500 is to cover that.
To cover the website. maintenance.
Okay.
Yep, it's gonna,
So are we on the expense sheet now?
yeah,
Who's the $50,000 salary go to?
I'm sorry, that 50,000?
Yeah, 50,500 salary. Is that, am I on the right?
Sabrina.
Oh, no, I'm on the wrong one. This is
Yeah, you're on the wrong
BOA.
one.
That's easy, I've been there for a while.
Okay. Yep.
So-
Oh, yeah. Okay, she
you're
updated
looking for this one,
Which one are we looking for?
this
Um,
expense worksheet?
Yeah, and you see where it says department, that's the department. it's
No.
Department,
We're not there.
2,800 on office supplies on the top line.
Yeah.
So what is the 8,000 on other covered buildings?
Where are you at?
The bottom
The
line.
bottom
I
line
see
says
it.
The
that,
last line
Other.
before you get
Last
to
one.
the total.
says 8,000, other.
I believe, no, you have dues and memberships here. It's
Yeah.
3,000 funded last year.
How come the,
Where is the annual report? I think this is probably town reports.
What's professional services? That's not town report?
No, that's not town reports.
Town reports is, in the BV, it's 5,000.
Right,
Where is it here in the sheet?
I think it's the 8,000
It's
other.
rolled up under,
What is it,
other.
5,000 to 8,000?
No, it's rolled up into, it's reports and what else?
Other
Other
charges.
charges. So that makes up the,
So the town report is 5,000 again this year?
yes, correct.
Okay, and then what's the other, the other 3,000?
where are you?
I'm taking 5,000
The
away
bottom.
from 8,000 on the last one.
Well, 8,000's the other, so.
No,
That's
it's
monthly,
saying
yeah.
in the other is the town report for 5,000.
Oh,
Is that not
okay.
what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and then
it's
so
a-
there's 3,000.
Oh, okay,
Move.
okay,
So
all
what's-
right, now
And
I'm on
that
the
could
same
be
page.
if we need to do a townwide mailing for something.
Okay.
A
If-
town
if,
wide
you know,
mailing.
That's just,
Yeah, that's fine.
Or if we need to, you
Why
know,
isn't there a number?
get information out to people somehow. It's kind of a catch-all.
Communications.
Okay, so,
Half of these
all that
don't
paperwork
have-
is handed out at every town meeting.
I know.
Is that out of
Because
there?
that's out of our,
It's out of
That's
the
out of
office
this,
supplies
yeah.
because they print on the new
Very
print.
few
And did you
people fill
notice the
them
new
in
printer?
correctly.
No, I take your
On
word
the
for it.
way out the door.
Oh,
It's really nice.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It's
very very few of them.
Yeah,
They
but
fill the
now,
blanks.
those,
Yeah, I
if they're
got tons
printed
of paper,
here,
I don't wanna
is,
do it.
you know, black and white, half a penny per page, so his office supplies this.
And that comes out of that other.
So,
Well, that's.
yeah. Now what are the professional services that we,
Yeah,
that we have for the board of select?
Just trying to think of some
I was
examples.
gonna say, I think that we did that on that. when we hired
No,
them.
No, it's
Ross
up on the top,
is,
the salary. the
temporary
personnel.
help. Ross is temporary
Is he
help.
still on the roster or getting paid?
Yeah, I'm sure he is, if he
Um,
consults.
I think his last invoice was for like an hour.
Yeah, for,
He's basically.
Winding down?
well, he did the community aggregation for us.
Yeah, and that was what a lot of his hours were
Hours were.
recently, but yeah, the last bit was like an hour, I think.
So he's not in the budget for next week.
He is, but it's not necessarily him.
Yeah.
It's temporary help. It's the 10,000 temporary help, which
Where's
is,
that?
Where's that?
I'm not sure.
I don't see
I
that,
see it in the.
In the BBA?
Yeah, in the
but
BBA.
I don't see it on this worksheet.
I don't either.
It should be.
Yeah,
Well,
that's it. You found it.
Or is it under wages? Could be under wages.
Yeah, but
Or-
the email,
No, I didn't see any temporary help.
It's not.
wages just has Sabrina, Callie, and Rebecca.
It's
And
not.
Nelson.
So 10,000.
Nelson is on
So,
salary.
and I do think we will need it.
I think
Yeah.
we've
It was
always
salary.
needed
It was
that.
an oversight, so.
Another oversight, okay. And what was that called again?
Temporary help.
Temporary help.
Is that an expense or a salary?
It's
Might
salary.
be, that's,
Is it salary or?
It's under
Wages.
personnel.
it's gonna be on the wages sheet. So the sheet with Kelly and.
Oh, Kelly.
There's a line, blank line on the bottom. You can put it on the bottom.
Sabrina, Kelly, and
And then Rebecca, and then you can put temporary help down.
And you said that was 10, you wanted that to be 10,000?
Yes.
Level funded this year.
so it was 10,000 last year, it's gonna be 10,000. And we don't know who it is, it's whoever.
It could also be like an intern. I think there's been, in previous years, Harrison. did.
Okay, an intern.
So it's temporary help. It's just something for a couple weeks, couple months. It's very,
Different than consulting.
yes, correct.
That's 10,000.
But I think Ross was kind of on the cusp of
Yeah.
consulting versus person, because he was still on payroll. So, but yes.
We have to add that.
I think that the interim TA got paid out of that money. I'm just looking at what we have there.
Wasn't that Ross?
Yes, that was wrong.
We don't need him now for that because we have you.
That is right, but you never know. I mean, I would never have thought that Eric was gonna leave a year early. So, you know,
Heads up.
You never know.
you never know, so.
I guarantee you I won't be here in 20 years, so. I'll promise you that much.
Probably neither will we.
They're not gonna be here in 20 years either.
Yeah, so we have 9,000 for professional services, so we put,
9,000 or 10,000?
10,000,
no. wait,
temporary help.
No.
No,
we're
no,
through
no, we're
expenses.
Now where are we?
We're back to expenses.
Expenses.
Uh,
Professional
For services
services.
for $9,000. What's
Okay,
that
so
got?
what got rolled into there?
Yeah.
Because they took the BVA doesn't match
Yeah, but you
the,
can't find it.
Oh, the BVA doesn't match.
no, the lines don't match.
Okay,
So,
Here,
which
give us
one's
the word.
correct?
Well, I think they're both correct, but I think
have
that
one
the
you can
breakdown is different.
so it's professional services as well as HR consulting services.
But I thought we had Kelly for HR.
We do. So what was this for?
It was.
It wasn't in the budget when I was previously a selectman, so.
It was there
was
last
there
year as
last
well.
You have to look, I
But
believe,
what was it for?
if it's rolled in, we had, from the properties committee, we had a $5,000 line for professional services added because
Yeah.
properties doesn't have its own budget. Select board put it in, engineering, anything that the properties may. committee-
Oh, yeah, for if you needed to have a survey
Right,
or
But
a,
it says HR, no, I think this one, I remember Callie talking about it, because it explicitly says HR consulting.
yes, it
services.
does.
Okay,
I believe it was for some software or services.
she mentioned
Yeah,
that, yes.
it would help
Yeah.
with tracking employees and.
Did we buy it?
It hasn't been spent this year. It might have been spent the fiscal year before.
it
I don't
wasn't
know.
either. I don't think we were able to get anything up off the ground,
So we have that money that's there.
so
It goes into
that'll
free
be-
cash if it doesn't
That'll
get
be either
spent.
free cash or used in a transfer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly
Okay.
right. So,
So we don't know, we have no clue. Is that what we're saying here?
well, I don't think we
I
used it
don't
because
think
we haven't found, I think, the right service that
I was
county
gonna
has
say that.
researched. Yeah,
So, okay.
Yeah.
It's an interesting approach.
so did you roll the professional services and the HR consulting into one line for professional services?
for this sheet, yes, but it's broken out in the
Okay.
BVA,
All right.
And
What's the total?
9,000 for the,
So
between the two.
9,000 is here.
We have the answer, we just don't know the
Yes.
question.
okay,
Well,
What's the question?
We don't know who's in there, 9,000.
The 9,000 is a
human-
rollout of professional services, a combination of professional services and HR consulting
So it's
services.
HR consulting.
So if you're looking at the BVA and you take those two lines, you get the 9,000, that's
So
professional.
how much was
services.
HR, did it say in your
5,000.
5,000?
Yep.
So there's
So it's
4,000 of professional services,
Yes.
and that's, we don't know what those are.
It runs the gamut. I'm trying to think of some examples.
It's been almost entirely spent this year.
I'm trying to think. Sabrina, what are some examples? I can't think. There's like 100 different things we pay out of that. Okay.
Just like one, just.
Yeah.
We can find one.
I can probably give you like 20, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Oh, okay, so $4,000 is, so maybe we'll have that in free cash, like,
No, it's already been expended
Oh, it's
this
been
year at 123%.
123.
So it's been overspent. That line
Oh,
has.
so it's been overspent, but we don't know who got it, right?
Well,
I
I'm
don't know
sure
off the
we
top
can
of
look
my
at
head,
warrants.
Yeah.
but-
Everything gets spelled out in a warrant,
Right.
and it's all.
Yeah, but we don't have that here in front of us, right?
No, we don't, but if the question is what it is, you can find it in a warrant.
Or, better yet, you can get an accounting. Yeah.
Yeah, but
it'll
is
give you a
that the
list.
point of this meeting of all the FinCom people so that we know what's being spent? I mean, that's what I thought we were supposed to do.
No, it's fair enough. I don't know off the top of my head what we spent it on.
Okay.
So we can get a list from the.
I have one.
Oh, you got one. Oh, good. What is it?
Metro Gov comes out of, professional services.
Metro Gov.
Vendor for
Vendor.
website.
Why wouldn't it come out of communications or?
I thought that's what that line was for.
Communications is probably more of, the telephone bills, the Verizon
No,
bills.
that number 6,500 was exactly what the webmaster
Right.
was.
And it shouldn't, yeah, and
It's in two places.
it moved from, last year, it moved from wages to,
Right, we had webmaster
Expenses.
up in personnel, and
Right.
when it became a contractor as opposed to an employee,
it moved. to
it moved down to expenses.
To communications?
Yes.
Information
no, it's information
technology. So that's Metro Gov, right, Sabrina?
Okay, it's information technology. On the expense worksheet, in the BVA, it's called communications.
Well, we should make
Also-
these match.
We really should.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
come
need
on.
to.
Crazy.
That would make it less complicated.
Yeah.
It's
I think
you
it's a
have to
plan so
look
that
at
the
the
new people don't know what's
policy
going on.
versus
I'm convinced.
Well,
what
yeah,
the
still trying to
accountant
learn how to read.
costs.
We're not gonna
That's
ever
the
know
difference,
how to.
because these come out of policy.
Okay, so the 6,500 goes to Metro Gov, so we still have $4,000 that we really have no clue what to spend it on yet. Nelson knows, but he's still. looking
There
at
should be a
Can you
policy
give us,
that we
can you
have
find some more
called things
examples, Sabrina?
consistent.
I find one that didn't go to somebody else. Okay, good.
Yes. So maybe that's why it's overspent. Maybe it's coming out of the wrong line.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you look at the bottom line, it has power, so.
Yeah.
What's the BVA ask for expenses?
All total, it's like 41%.
Okay. So that's it.
Yeah, 41%,
So that's about the
42%,
$4,000.
which is about where it should be
Mhm.
for this time
For
of
this time of
year.
year.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
actually good because it's not 50.
No, that's,
So,
this is the kind of thing I have done investigations before on things posted to the wrong accounts and.
Well, isn't that the point of what, I
Well,
mean,
not-
isn't that part of what we're supposed to discover?
Not necessarily, it's kind of like, we're not the auditors on every.
No, I
line
get it,
every
but when
thing
it's
being posted,
blatant,
But
yeah.
Well,
No,
but
it's
it's
not.
ambiguous enough. It's not like I'm paying for,
Right,
you know,
it's a professional service,
it's
it
a
just had a separate line.
yeah, you know, so, yeah, exactly. It's not like I'm paying, office supplies out of, mileage or travel. You know, webmaster, that's a professional service. It may be a very specific one, but at that point, it's just, it was paid out of the wrong account, you know, things like that.
You think it was paid out of the wrong account or just that?
The wrong
Calculated
account was
in the
assigned to it.
No,
Yeah.
it was, when it was paid, it was probably, or it was assigned to the wrong account.
and sometimes the way the accountant sees things is
Right,
different
they might-
from the way
Right.
the BVA
Oh.
sees things, as long as it's within the expenses
Again,
or
information
within
technology
personnel.
versus
Yeah,
communication. Kind
so
of like, it doesn't look like it goes in communication, so.
is it, or is it a professional service? Well, yeah, it's a
Well, yeah,
professional
what-
service. So, you know,
So there's no like real coding that's consistent across the board for these items.
we would need even more.
There should be,
people
but,
working in
you
town.
know, people code it, you know, in different spot at times, so.
Why
we-
don't we
we-
have consistent coding, a standard?
Well,
There's
like I
gotta
said,
be-
because it's either it's ambiguous enough that it can belong in one category versus the other, or someone just simply did it wrong, like maybe early in the year and just continued with it, you know, that type of thing. But when we find it, we can always reclass it out and, you know, move it back around. But there's no, what I wanna
But
say
this
is,
makes it very difficult to follow when you don't have a standard that everybody follows when they're doing the accounting. I mean, I've worked with budgets as a program manager and I had specific accounting lines that I could follow all the way through.
So then what you need here in town is another person to do the job to make sure that consistency gets implemented. Because everybody is doing their job and there isn't the time or the staff to do that. Now, yeah, you could, but you get a different accountant and they use different words for things.
But they shouldn't, there should be a standard, the town should have a standard that everybody works to. So
Who's
that
gonna
it's
set that standard?
You've never had a standard? I thought every government agency followed the standards, but
On the big, long number that we get.
yeah, that
on
big
the
long
account.
number would, but Melissa said that everybody should use,
Right,
which I would probably agree with.
right, and.
What, I forget what the
You
number's
see a lot of
called.
them are standard, but when a new one's created, again, it gets to the person creating it at the time.
But there should be a standard on creating that, because if you look at it, it's like something with the year and something.
Well, the years are usually the special town meeting.
But usually, you could just have a very, like a little standard, when creating this number, these digits mean this, these digits, you know, like.
But then it's subject for interpretation because someone thought communications was the web page and someone else thought the web page was a professional service. So
I mean,
which is it? And that's where, if you look, the numbers are standard here for the names that are used. They don't match what's on these expenses worksheet, but hey, this is the policy. So it, in some respect, it's subject to interpretation.
And that could get to and the omnibus should take care of that. It has the account and the account number on it.
Right.
So that you can match it up and make sure that the right money gets entered into the right account.
I mean, what's an office supply versus an other supply? It's subject to interpretation.
But yeah, the expenses, I'm asking for it to be level funded.
Okay, so the $5,000 for dues and subscriptions, is that what you usually use every year?
It's at 50% right now.
Yeah.
Some of this is contractual, in that certain people can have memberships in certain organizations. So anyway.
Yeah.
And including the select board as well.
Yeah.
So this is not just the staff members.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
it's our MMA
Okay.
memberships. So just like you guys have
Yeah, the membership.
memberships,
Yeah.
so it's the same thing.
Yeah, we've just been asking that of everybody just to see if they used it last year and they still need to use it, fine. But
I have always used the memberships.
A couple-
Otherwise, how do you learn what you're supposed to
I
do?
think in a couple places we found some places where they used a third of it, and we looked at it, maybe that would be an area that we could possibly pare back.
Right? I mean, if someone, but
Right, if they're not using it, then okay, let's not pay it.
why put it in the budget? I don't think we pay it, but
Right.
it's there if you need it.
Have, data systems, Harry Enterprises, MetroGov, and the legal publication business. And, one room has Memorial, so that was probably for some.
That's probably for a person who is a prospective employee.
Yeah.
Doing the physical or whatever, yeah.
Yep. Might have been mine.
Could have been.
I did do it, and the town paid for it.
Yeah,
So
and that's a
transfer
professional
all that.
service, yeah.
If we transfer the MetroGov to communications, the communications line gets.
I don't know that,
So you're saying that it was part of the 9,000, the MetroGov 6,500 was part of that originally? And then,
At least one.
is it twice on the sheet? I guess that's
No.
my question. Oh,
No.
okay,
No,
okay.
no, it's kind of like the professional services line was there, and instead of paying it to information technology, they paid it out of that.
Okay, so just paid it out of a different
They
line.
paid it out of a different line,
They paid it out of information technology, right?
and that's why, no, they paid it out of professional services when it should have been.
So who got the 6,500 out of information technology?
It's gonna be transferred.
Oh, okay.
That's gonna go to MetroGov, and anything that was misposted will be reposted into the right account. Okay. Okay.
And it,
Well, anything else on the select board? I don't have my BDA, so I can't.
Telephone system.
oh,
Add on.
so do we have enough budgeted for MetroGov solutions and the telephone then, would be my question. If the phone system wasn't,
Or is the phone system supposed to come out of the MIS section?
I don't know anymore, I don't know, because MIS changed a lot in the past 2 years. So I can't say.
Right.
There is a MIS communications in there.
Is that MIS communication?
Well, we're actually getting,
No.
that's another,
Right, I was gonna say, we don't have you know, it's a short one. Legal, the other things were legal. and-
Legal, it's
Ignore
not,
that.
yeah, it's its own code,
It's
right?
its own code, but, so it's part of the select board.
But it wouldn't be on the expense.
No, it's not on the select board expense sheet. Right, they're separate, so do we wanna do them on Saturday?
I mean, I can talk about it now if you want. I'm sorry I didn't do a sheet for that. MIS,
What is MIS, what those initials mean?
Management of.
Management Information Systems.
So it's IT.
Oh, it's IT.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, so it's everything related to IT. And Guardian is our provider. I've spoken to them and they are agreed to level fund all the services that they provide to us.
And so they're going to, we're gonna need to.
It's $205,000.
Now, one of the things I would like to see if we can get a breakdown is separate the Microsoft licenses that we're paying from the monthly, service that they do on that. So the network and the computers that they support.
Oh, yeah.
Is different from the software licenses.
Correct. Yep, they do break that down for me, so I can provide that.
I mean, ideally, I would have liked to seen it on separate lines because computer support is not software licenses. They buy the software licenses from Microsoft and they bill us on a quarter. So Microsoft likes annual software license fees. So they purchase the annual software licenses and charge us back on a monthly basis. So we're paying for them over the year, not.
Correct, and that is how the omnibus is, and the DVA, it's everything is separated out.
And then I know there's another line for replacement equipment. And I haven't seen a plan, but we have to have a PC replacement plan, so, you know, so we should be every 5-6 years replacing, keeping the equipment current. Yep.
And since I've been here, I've been very, let's just say stingy with replacing laptops.
Yeah.
So what I've actually been doing is I've sort of been playing musical chairs. You know, I
just had people leave. Yeah.
Exactly. You know, so we currently have more computers than we do have staff. Not by a lot, but.
Oh, that's good to know, because HTC needs access to one.
Well, no, I can't. I don't have like 10 extra.
No, we just need one so we can get email.
We need to talk about that.
She's talking about an address.
You need an address.
You
you
need
don't
a
have a
laptop.
I
computer.
thought we have, no, I can't use my personal computer. Well, we'll talk about that later. Like,
Yeah,
I can't use my personal computer.
I mean, my only issue is if
I do.
if one commission or committee asks for a dedicated computer, everyone's gonna ask for one, and the town doesn't have money for a dedicated computer for every single board or commission. Because if you ask for one and we give it to you, what's to say another board or commission isn't gonna do the same thing?
Okay.
You know, so once I set that precedent,
Assessors.
everyone's gonna potentially ask for one, and where are we gonna get the money for it? I mean.
So you have some spares that people can use on it. I need a laptop today. You can provide it to them. They log in as a guest or something, and then they give it back to you when they're done.
No, it's actually more of, someone's laptop is just like crap the bed.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have one extra floating around because I no longer have that staff member. That position hasn't been filled, so I just keep playing musical chairs since I've been here.
Okay.
Just to like stay like 1 or 2 computers ahead of the game, but that quickly falls apart when someone laptop has died and I need to, you know, either I buy completely a new one or I find one that is still in really good shape. In fact, I had a Guardian wipe, you know, freshly image and wipe it out. So that really, it's almost a brand new computer at that point. It might be the processor might be a little bit slow, but it's a fresh computer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, generally, I don't think we use the computers to their full capacity. It's more it interfaces to the software that they're running to do their jobs.
Yeah.
And email.
But, you know, so that's sort of the things I've been doing personally to like
Yeah,
save a buck.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a laptop is, I think, about $1,000, but, you know, if I have a perfectly good one laying around and no employees using it, then I can then, you know, get that back into circulation.
Right,
When someone has complained about theirs either being really slow or just not working well. So those are the things that.
Do we have a contract that we use to buy a computer? Like, so eventually you're gonna have to buy a computer. Do we do that under a contract, or do we just go to Best Buy at that point and get a computer?
No, we go through Guardian because they need to put all kinds of software and,
okay,
you know, things on it. So it's better to just, buy through them and then they put all the software on there. So that's what we've been doing. I think I've only purchased maybe one laptop since I've been here, and we just go through Guardian.
Okay.
And again, when we put it in, we talk about the price of the computer, but then there's the price of Guardian getting it loaded with all of the software, the protected software.
I think they do that under contract. don't
They do, so.
With the hours.
Yeah, so we pay
contract.
them, so our monthly rate, that gives us 40 hours of their time. So, and that 40 hours would be, you know.
And do they have a list of computers that you can buy from then? Because actually, when you said a laptop's about $1,000, you can get a laptop for $200. That's perfectly serviceable.
Yeah, maybe, but you have to think about, whether it's gonna still be, you know, usable in a couple of years, or it's already long in the tooth, you know, when you buy it at $200.
I bought a laptop for $300 and used it for 10 years.
But it all depends on what the use is, and that's the piece with it. They're not buying the engineering computers and the design computers. It's kind of like it's kind of.
Well, those are the ones that usually get up to about $1,000. I mean, I would think you could get something for $400 or $500 that's going to last a good amount of time.
What I've seen is, you know, staff laptops, probably between 5 and 7 years. That's when it starts like getting really long in the tooth.
Sure.
But we we made sure that everybody had computers when we had the CVRLF and the COVID money, the ARPA money.
Right.
And so everybody's was replaced around 21 and 22.
Right, which is why you're getting ready for that cycle.
Yeah, so it was.
I'm just saying, when the time comes to get the computers, do they have like a list that you can choose from with different price ranges, or is it?
Not that I've seen. We typically, they ask us, you know, what do you need it for? It's just basic, like,
Does the state have a site to go?
They have a state contract, so we can certainly look at it. I'm sure Dell or someone is on it, so I can certainly look into that too. But, you know, 1,000 is pretty standard, I would say. Yes, I know you can buy cheaper ones off the shelf, but so that's something I can certainly take a look at.
But you might want to look at the state, because they may have contracts that get the computers cheaper.
Yeah, and it would probably do like a Dell or something like that.
So what about MIS replacement equipment? Is that where if a new computer is needed, is that where it comes out?
Typically, yes. There are times where if the department has a budget, then I would rather they pay for it.
I'm just looking at this MIS replacement equipment. All that's come out of it this year is $780.55, and that could be a laptop.
I think that was probably a lot.
How much, I'm sorry?
$780.55.
Yeah, that could easily be a lot.
Yeah.
But, you know, the replacement equipment could be servers, for example, or, you know, the security system.
Yeah.
You know, things. You know, firewall, and you know, those things can be very expensive. I mean, 25,000, you can buy a lot of laptops for that, and we certainly don't need to buy that many. So it's really that.
It's anything that might go down.
Yeah, and those pieces tend to be very expensive.
So are we meeting on Saturday? 9 o'clock.
And do we know who's coming in at what time?
As far as I know, it's 9 o'clock for sure, right?
9 o'clock,
Yeah, who's-
okay,
who's
so
coming
who's
at
coming
nine?
at nine?
Police first, I believe. and then
Okay.
fire.
Oh, and
Is it like
Fine, I'll
9:30, 9:30 or 9:10, what, 15 minutes, 20 minutes?
I think police.
9:30.
I think it's 9:30, but,
the chief Sartell, called me, he has a commitment on Saturday morning. He can probably make it first thing, and then he would have to go. But if his budget is pretty solid, then, you know, we can certainly ask him not to come in. Certainly fire, we haven't talked about it at all, so.
Who has a commitment?
Well, we didn't see fire or police. And
Right.
police, we had issues with.
We
The police
did,
was
but,
here.
if I haven't sent that out, I apologize.
police came to
I
us.
thought he was here.
We had.
I don't
We,
know.
no,
See, I
we
don't-
didn't have police. They
But
didn't
then
come.
he sent the letter and all this.
Yeah, he sent
that's what
everything.
Yeah.
Sent a
But
letter.
but we had a lot.
It could
Okay,
be
never
that
mind, never mind. I get it.
we-
Totally get it. I totally get it.
we had a lot of questions.
Totally
He
get
answered them. We still, when we see the omnibus, we'll look at it because one of the ones that we had questions with was Lieutenant Peach, whether his whole line was salary or.
He spoke about that during the conversation, so,
Well, I thought it was police, but now I think it's fire.
he said that, I guess, maybe in the past, it was requested that that particular position, you just show exactly how much it costs instead of, you know, his base salary is in the line, and then the longevity and Quinn is all lumped into with all the other police officers in the other lines, so that was the reason why, Lieutenant Peach's, his full amount was on one line versus splitting it up multiple ways.
Okay, so that,
So,
So who's coming after fire? Who's coming? 10 o'clock.
there might not be anyone.
right. it
Oh,
might
so it's
be
just
the
be those
omnibus.
2 people and that'll be it, and we can go?
No, highway.
No,
We
we're
still
gonna
need to talk about the
review
omnibus budget.
Right.
'Cause,
Oh,
we-
So, what was the second person? Who was
There's
fire,
only fire and then police and then
Fire.
fire.
police and fire?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
police
I
and
guess,
fire, yeah.
I don't know if that's in stone. We'll see.
Okay, and then.
And then the omnibus discussion,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's strictly
that's just who?
Board of Selectmen and
That's
FinCom.
Board of Selectmen,
Yeah.
Nelson
Sabrina?
and us, I think, and Sabrina will be in there.
No, Sabrina.
Do we still need the Board of Health on the agenda for Saturday?
I don't know, they came tonight, so,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think so.
I don't think so.
We didn't think they were coming tonight.
right, yeah, they weren't, that was.
It was kind of a late request.
So we're not involved in the omnibus?
We are,
Oh.
yeah, I said enough.
So,
The whole town will be involved in that.
Right,
No, I mean for Saturday.
yeah, that's
do you, so do we want Chief Sartell to come on Saturday morning?
He had
You know,
told
if
me.
he's got an appointment, can he zoom in? We have a Zoom link.
No.
And now,
I can,
Oh, do we have a Zoom in for Saturday?
He had called me today. I'm his liaison.
Right.
yeah, he had a
And-
engagement or prior appointment or something.
So he's
Right.
not coming, is that what you're telling us?
Well,
I don't-
I think he can come at the very beginning, but
Let's put him
he
together.
wouldn't be able to stay for like an hour or
right,
something
so
like
that's why I think if he can,
The
Yeah.
only request he had made for
you
me,
know, and
Wait, Veronica's telling me.
he requested that the energy budget be level funded because of the huge gas bills that they're receiving.
Mhm.
Now, they are putting up the solar panels, but they don't know what the return on that will be.
Right.
And so what did he put for energy? He said he had dropped it 4%
Yeah,
from the year
I actually
before.
changed it, right.
Did you change it
Yeah.
already? Okay, so he called you and told you. I told him to give you a call.
Yeah,
That's the other
we
question.
spoke and he sent me an email as well.
Yeah, okay, good. I did ask him to call you or to let you know.
Yeah.
So he's coming at 9 for a brief.
Brief.
I,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll,
what are the questions that are left for him?
I don't know that.
Well,
there
we don't
was
know because we
anything.
didn't see what.
Yes, my fault. I thought I had copied everybody and I thought he replied all, so.
Okay.
Get that out. to everybody.
All right then, so he won't be there. So he's coming 9:30 then?
No, it's.
No. He's coming at 9.
It's posted for
So I
9.
won't be there at 9.
And we, is that in the
Great
hall?
Oh, no, it's.
No, it's here.
It's in here.
It's
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
In here.
Okay.
That's
Read out the
probably
final agenda.
Sure.
It was taken out at what time?
Yeah.
It was staying at 9 o'clock and then police does not have to come or?
No, I thought we were saying,
Did you have questions for police?
we had questions, but they were answered in the email. So they weren't big, they were, what's in this, like the maintenance and repair and line and things like that. Right, yeah, but I still have that, even if he joins by Zoom, meeting the committee members that are new, is, I think, still, they haven't seen it.
He didn't give me a
Again, he just was the only one that gave us a budget letter out of the whole.
So let me just see what it looks like.
So we're going through each of the budgets on Saturday, even though the people aren't here, we're gonna go through their budgets.
Yes. Right,
Because I do have some questions.
yeah, Nelson has been compiling all of these individual budgets that we have in the books.
They won't be
Into the-
here. We have to ask among us everything.
So I think it's just fire at 9, and then as soon as we're done with fire, we're gonna go straight to the omnibus budget.
I thought police was coming in at 9
No, they're
because.
not coming.
No, it's
Oh, they're
just,
not coming
it's
at
just
all.
fire.
Yes.
I haven't done that.
Okay, so are we done?
Wait a minute.
Are we done?
Well,
We gotta-
we have to adjourn.
Sure.
So-
We have to-
still have formalities.
Sabrina.
Once you find out, like, want to revise the agenda then, or the orders changing and not dropping off from what was posted?
If you want to change what was posted. Because if it's posted, people think that they're supposed to come.
No, but I think she's saying change it so that fire is showing at 9 o'clock, and
I thought police was at 9 o'clock.
Police isn't coming.
Police
They're
are
not coming at all.
Not coming at all.
Revised.
Yeah, so fire would just be for half hour or an hour?
You don't have to say the time, just put
yeah.
that
just-
first and the second is the omnibus budget.
You've seen us sometimes we get into lots of questions.
Yeah.
So take the time off, or leave it at 9 and 9:30. 9:30 was what the hell was there.
Oh, no,
We-
Board of
yeah.
Health can come off.
Is this yours or mine?
So the only.
I think it's yours, but I don't know.
It's all right.
I don't think you have to put a
I'm gonna
time.
go home and try to
You
straighten
know,
this.
it's 10 minutes fine, if it's 15,
No.
and I go an hour, who knows?
Yeah, the times always
Right?
trip me up because it's like, we need to follow that timeline or?
I'll just start with that, and then we'll go to omnibus as a
Yes.
second item. And leave
I'll
the
bring
time
it,
out.
just, yeah, I'll just bring
Because
it.
we certainly wouldn't know the time ending.
Right, well, that's my problem, like,
Yeah.
you put a time and it runs,
If you run over, you
yeah,
really need a
or
time.
if it's too short,
That
then
in the
what do you
past,
do?
because there were all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
departments there, they had to do that.
So that means finance committee also needs to revise.
Everybody get posted, I hope.
We got posted, it was my mistake for the one Tuesday.
Yeah, but you wanna just do revise, because it's,
Revised agenda.
yeah, and then that's our posting? Selectboard? Selectboard?
Yes.
Okay, and then you have your,
Can I make a motion that we adjourn the,
The joint meeting first.
I don't know.
So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the joint meeting, I can read the clock on the wall, 8:53.
I make a motion to join the
I'll
joint.
second
meeting.
that.
Second.
Okay, we have a
You
motion
can
and a
have
second.
it either way,
Roll
as
call.
long as we go.
Mary Jane Churchfield, yes.
Jerome Ziggs, yes.
Carol Hoff says yes.
David Walker, yes. Sam Grant, yes.
Okay, and then we'll adjourn, I'll take motion to adjourn. the
I'll make a
finance
motion to
meeting.
adjourn the finance committee at 8:54 PM.
I'll second
Okay. Roll call.
Mary Jane Churchfield, yes.
Jerome Ziggs, yes.
it. Carol Hoff says yes.
David Walker, yes. Sam Grant, yes.
Ron Hayes, yes, we are unanimous.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the select board
Good day.
meeting at 8:54 p.m.
So moved.
Second? Roll call?
Veronica Kell, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
Oh,
Thank you,
you wanna
everyone.
repeat it?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know now, it's the first is already.
Yeah, did joint.
Last
Okay.
Saturday.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the joint meeting of the finance
John,
and.
I'm up for any meeting you want,
Okay.
unless an accident happens like that.
I'm sorry.
I'll entertain a motion to
Let me know.
adjourn the joint meeting.
So moved.
Second,
Veronica Kell, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
So we are adjourned.
We are adjourned. Thank you, whoever.
I know.